can stay right here, we will play until somehow you can find a slightly different frame of mind. Right here in my arms, away from all harm, you'll be safe from all the flares, although I know you don't care. Take a deeper breath and give it time. You can walk the path among the lines with your shattered frame of mind. Wish that you could always stay. We can wait right here and play until somehow you can find a slightly better frame of mind. Shattered frame of mind. Wish that you could always stay. We can wait right here and play until somehow you can find a slightly better frame of mind. Take a deeper breath and give it time. You can walk the path among the lines with your shattered frame of mind. Wish that you could always stay. We can wait right here and play until somehow you can find a slightly better frame of mind. And when the light comes through, when that day isn't you, then it will be time for a new frame of mind. When all eyes are on you, you will know what to do, since you will have found your new frame of mind. When you lift your head up to the sky, take a deeper breath and give it time. You can walk the path among the lines, but always know that you'll be safe. I'll be here throughout your days. Come find me and we will play. select.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the TI American Qualifiers. We have a great match ahead of us. We have Mouz Sports facing up against VoidBoys. It is the lower bracket, these two second-place teams facing up against each other. VoidBoys, of course, being the underdogs here, as they have provided one hell of an upset, being able to make it into the playoffs, facing up against what was the initial favorites for this whole entire qualifier. Who's going to be coming out on top? Well, to find that out, I have a star-studded cast sitting right next to me, starting with Hani on my left, followed up by Mott and Purge. I'm actually going to start with Mott here first. Mott, you probably cast in the most American qualifiers. You probably cast in the most of VoidBoys specifically. Do you think they have what it takes to be able to take on Mouz Sports lacking Pat Soul?
That's a tough question, honestly, because when they came into this tournament, I thought they were the weakest team by far. I thought VoidBoys were going to get absolutely crushed. They played pretty horribly in Dota 2 Canada Cup, and the loss of Pat Soul, which, I mean, everybody knows him as the North American legend, at least if you follow North American Dota, I thought that was going to hit them pretty hard, but they stomped Leviathan 2-0. They've played some great series as well. They've really impressed me with their team play, which is, it's sort of like Complexity, and we just saw Complexity go through. They're going to be heading to TI5 in Seattle, and I think VoidBoys could do the same, but Mouz Sports is not an easy team to do it against. Mouz Sports obviously being, I think, the favorites, and it's very surprising that they're here in the lower bracket to start things off, honestly. So
for sure. Hani, you probably know quite a bit about Mouz Sports, seeing as you've got some experience with some of those players. Your thoughts on Mouz Sports? Do you think they've been looking a little shaky heading into this playoffs?
I generally think that, to me, they're not the very strongest team by far. I mean, most people would say for sure the number one pick for this qualifier. But I would say going into this qualifier, especially with NAR being up there as well, it's hard to tell. But going into this loser brackets, not final, consolation match?
It's a loser bracket final, and then you have the consolidation final after
exactly. So loser bracket final, I would say that Mouz is still the clear favorite for me. Like Mott was mentioning, I didn't have VoidBoys at all on my list for this match, and I'm surprised that they're there, but maybe they prove me wrong.
I don't think anybody put VoidBoys in the predictions for the compendium. I'd be very surprised. Maybe there's a couple of people out there, maybe some of the Chinese fans, because these are Chinese foreign exchange students playing on American soil, I believe, for the most part. So it's very surprising that they're here. There are probably some VoidBoys fans out there, but this is definitely not expected. I think we should run through predictions real quick as we jump into the draft. I personally think it's going to be 2-1 Mouz Sports. What do you think, Cap?
I'm going to head for 2-0, Hani.
I do think the same. 2-0 for Mouz Sports.
I could see it being a 2-1 for Mouz Sports as well. I think VoidBoys has some really talented players, and they could pull it out. 747 especially, really good on the mid lane, gets a lot of kills, and doesn't make too many mistakes.
Yep, we'll have to wait and see. We are going to jump into the draft here. It is Mouz Sports versus VoidBoys, our first game of a 3-game series. The most important thing to know about this is the lower bracket match. Whoever loses this series, they are done. They are so close to the international. They just need to get through a couple series and then make it to that final, the grand finals where Complexity is waiting. And so for Mouz Sports and VoidBoys, they want to get off to a fast start, and nothing is faster than a Drow Visage combo coming out from the VoidBoys squad on the Radiant side, Purge.
And we've almost never seen this get all the way through, at least both of the heroes together. A lot of games we were seeing Visage banned, or even just not picked. Teams will ignore the strat sometimes, but This time it does get through, and Clockwork's one hero that can deal with this decently. You have to worry about hooking the Visage Familiars, but if you do get on top of Drow Ranger, you can score those kills.
It's kind of like a Sniper almost. Like we used to see a Clockwork a lot against Sniper in terms of like trying to find him being in the back lines. And Drow Ranger, it's all about that positioning as well. You hook shot onto the Drow Ranger, you take care of her and get her out of the fight quickly, make sure she doesn't have all that damage. And Gyrocopter as well, you could just kind of run at some of those heroes and hope for the best, but pretty good start. Nature's Prophet. This is something Omega Poner has been playing a lot in the offlane recently. The real interesting thing for me is what they're going to get for 747. But for now, it is going to be the Nature's Prophet for Omega Poner, which is kind of weird.
I think what stands out to me here with a Visage Throw strat from VoidBoys, I would say they have a pretty good chance. It's like one of those, it can go both directions, right? Like if you run this strat, you're quite fast going to get a result of where it's going to head towards. I think on the side of Mouz here, I do like the clock pickup a lot. It's one of Boba's best heroes. It's also one of the team's very best fitting heroes. It's like you need Boba on an active hero that can make plays. Especially when you have someone like Koiko as well as Black, both of them very farm-intensive players. So Clock is one of those heroes that can make up for it. Usually what happened with Mouz is that Clockwork on the offlane, he gets these early levels, and it's very important for Clockwork to have a great game. And whether or not he can make that happen in this game is going to be the question.
Now, how important do you think, you say, like Clockwork being able to get the early levels will allow him to be able to get kills on Drow Ranger, even Nature's Prophet. But there's another option here for VoidBoys, which is they can run an aggro, try and put Furion specifically against the Clockwork because you just spam out trees and you're able to deal with Battery Assault really well. You can definitely win that lane. Do you think it's a better idea to go for defensive trialing just purely to keep the Clockwork from getting his level 6 as much as possible? Or do you think the greedier aggro try where you can win that and the Furion safe lane is the better idea?
I think it's really hard to tell who wants to go aggressive here. Usually, like when you face a Drow strat, right? Or you play against a Drow strat, you want to try to keep the Drow low levels. So my usual assumption is when I'm on the side of Drow, I want to usually put Drow into the position where I know the hero gets levels. So I really like to see a Drow as a mid hero often as well, if that's a possibility. There's some heroes obviously that shut down Drow as a mid hero that have a lot of nuke potential, right? Such as Lashrak or whatnot. If you want to contest a Gyrocopter, if you're in the shoes of VoidBoys here, potentially, if you can put that Drow in the mid lane. The other way around, it could happen as well, right? It's still, I think it's open, but just as we see this, the Sand King pick, I would not assume a contest from a Mouz here at all.
And it's going to be a bit difficult if VoidBoys decide to go aggressive against the Gyrocopter, if they really wanted to. But the Sand King is going to be a bit greedier coming up from Mouse Sports. So they'll have the Sand King in the jungle, obviously Skywrath Mage as their secondary support, Clockwork in the offlane, Gyrocopter more than likely in the safe lane to round out the lineup. We still need to see the mid laner potentially coming out from Mouse Sports. On the other side, the Vengeful Spirit comes out. These are 4 ranged heroes. They are going to get Precision Aura. They're going to hurt with their right click. Do they go for a tanky frontliner? Do they maybe go for another ranged hero to complete the lineup and maybe try to ball out of control here?
They could kind of get away with it, though, because they have Avenge. They don't necessarily have to grab a tanky hero because they have somebody that can swap out the danger target. If they do get a good initiation on Drow, you can sacrifice the Venge for that. It's not the best situation if he does end up dying afterwards, but it could be a solution. But due to the good dive that Mouse Sports currently has with a Sand King and a Clock, it's probably wise to get something like that that's upfront and tanky. They definitely still can do a tri-lane as well with their rangers, but they're going to need a different core for that. And it's a Skywrath Mage going to be potentially zoning a Prophet. This is, I feel okay for Prophet. It's a little hard for Sky to zone the Prophet himself because he's got Treants. Skywrath Mage has no armor, so he will be taking a lot from the Treant damage. So I don't think it would be terrible for VoidBoys just to do a safe try. I feel like the Prophet can actually get a lot out of his jungle. Not to mention if he blocks pull camps and stuff, it's going to be a very delayed 3 for Sand King, assuming he's definitely a support. So if you delay his 3 by a lot as well, then that means his move into the jungle won't be as successful. So I think a safe tri-lane for VoidBoys is definitely the ideal thing here.
The band's coming out, the Naga Siren. Interesting one from VoidBoys, being able to stop that kind of setup from Mouse Sports, and we've seen how Mouse Sports do like to run very farm heavy, but I really like the SF band away by Mouse Sports. It works really well with the Drow Ranger aura, obviously, but is also one of those rare agility heroes that actually builds quite tanky going into the mid-game, so that would actually be kind of your in-between pickup. It takes advantage of the range aura, but still manages to tank up a decent amount. But VoidBoys, their last pickup here, got to be a core. It could potentially be a Drow Ranger mid, but that's a little bit less likely. More likely a mid to be picked up. Hani, what do you think?
I think the tough decision here, I feel like they need a core that's a bit more tanky, where Drow can't be that case. Usually, I think Drow strats work the best when you have double saves. Right now, they only have the Vengeful, but they can't really pick up another save mechanism. They have the Visage for damage already, as well as the Drow. Nature's Prophet, okay, but I generally think if Drow can sit back and just contribute with the aura, then having a core that's a bit more tanky, that will deal the physical damage, would be great.
Sure, and that fills the role perfectly. Dragon Knight takes advantage, range form, and also quite tanky, and is able to get up right up in the Gyrocopter's face. I love this pickup quite a bit.
Yeah. And this is something that a lot of teams have been running recently. We've seen Complexity and Swindlemelons play this in almost every match I've casted with them, and they have a lot of success for it. Even if they're getting crushed in the mid lane, if the DK goes mid, which he probably should, then you don't necessarily need to win in the CS battle. You get that level 6, maybe you rotate, maybe you try for a tower push, maybe you push down the enemy tower mid and go from there. So VoidBoys have that tanky frontliner in the DK. They have plenty of damage on the backline with the Drow Ranger, the Visage, the Nature's Prophet TPing in. Mouse Sports are going to go for their last pick here. It is going to be the Wind Ranger coming out as well. Now, this is going to be interesting. A lot of control coming through the Quakeful Wind Ranger. We'll see how well he can farm and how well he could do against 747, I believe, in that middle lane. It's going to be an interesting matchup coming through here, guys.
Predictions. Cap, you first.
Still going to be leading with Mouse Sports, despite the fact that I really like VoidBoys' pickup of the Dragon Knight. I think that was pretty much the most ideal pick for them, where their draft was laying at. I think that Mouse Sports experience, we've seen Drow Ranger Visage a lot. These drafts are quite common, going back several patches now. I think Mouse Sports do have the experience to be able to adapt to this, and I feel like their drafting is pretty legit. Wind Ranger, a nice early game hero. I'm a little bit concerned about the greed of a Sand King 4th pickup, but that was the biggest flag for me in Mouse Sports. Otherwise, I'm good with the draft.
Honey?
I would still probably stick to the 2-0 predictions, or like for this game, the win for Mouse Sports. I think on the side of VoidBoys, if you consider them winning, I think the most important part is that the early game for Drow has to be good. To me, the early game has to be good, as well as Visage needs to somehow get that level 6 in a decent amount of time.
And Mott, what do you think?
I actually like VoidBoys draft a bit more just because of what Cap talked about, the greed coming out with the Sand King. And I'm not a huge fan of Wind Ranger, even if it is Quake for playing it. So I think VoidBoys have the edge in the draft. Do I think they're going to win the game? No. I think Mouse Sports are going to be able to take this game, honestly, and then take maybe the series still 2-1 as we head into the game. And what about you, Purge?
I like the VoidBoys draft a lot more, personally. I think their safe trial lane is definitely good. They can get the Drow Ranger with Lifesteal, shift him into the jungle. That'll give 6 on Visage. And the major thing that Mouse has for damage output is Burrow Strikes into Sky Ult or Clockwork into Sky Ult. They can always swap out of that, maybe save their cores, which could potentially turn the fight. But with the right itemization on Wind Ranger and a lot of farm there, they could definitely pose a big issue there. So with that said, thanks guys for helping out. We're going to be jumping into the game. It is Purge and Mod here, and we're going to be casting VoidBoys versus Mouse.
That's right. Bulba's going to be leading the way down on the Clockwork here. Look at the starting items. He's going to be placing an Observer Ward. He also has a Sentry as well, so Bulba's going to get some much-needed room to work with by blocking that pole camp. And for VoidBoys, they're going 4-man aggression top currently. We're going to have Mercy, Please, Schwan, Fly, and Susie, or 747 leading the way. Just 2 Tangos as well as 1 GG branch for the Dragon Knight. He's really banking on that early battle. There's no real, bounty hunter to try to snipe the courier, so that shouldn't be a big problem. They're going to scout out maybe the Sand King. They're going to walk up here as well. They're probably going to look to invade the jungle and make the Sand King kind of have a rough time. Maybe put some wards down as well as just get the Treants out and make his life miserable here at the start of the game.
So this could be very much so an aggressive trialing. You usually don't move this many heroes into the enemy jungle unless you are planning for that. So versus a Sand King and a Sky. I guess this is pretty decent considering the fact that Sand King is very much a melee hero. He does have to get very close by to land a Burrow Strike in the early game. So if they can abuse that and limit their experience gain, they definitely will have the stronger tri-lane at the beginning.
And maybe they can rotate into the jungle as well, make the Sand King's life miserable by just harassing him, and that's what you would have a bounty hunter for example. But if you have 2 supports doing that, then all of a sudden your life gets a little bit easier. That Blink Dagger doesn't come out as early, and suddenly Sand King is struggling and thereby making Mouz struggle as well. Treant is actually going to body block the creep wave. That was sick. But
yeah, that's pretty cool.
747 is going to be taking the creep wave from there. They're actually going to counter that pull can't block. That's huge.
That was really significant because VoidBoys placed an Observer Ward there and a Sentry. So they're hoping that with the farthest right Observer Ward, they would be able to guarantee that it was double blocked in the Sentry. And a Burrow Strike actually lands on Fly. This could be really bad now. If that didn't land, it was a possible kill. But he's going to have to throw a Burrow Strike. He doesn't even throw his stun out, and he goes down. He actually definitely needed to stun way too there, but he didn't do it. He thought running would be better, I guess. So
it didn't work
gets
out.
Killed.
He gets the Sentry down, though. I'm almost positive they spotted that out, though, and they're going to counter it.
Of course. They saw him there. They know what he's doing. They got 2 sentries and 1 Observer Ward for 1 sentry over there, and they'll move over it. They'll kill it. They won't get it on the first minute time period, and Skywrath Mage is going to sit in position to spot things out at least to make sure he doesn't get killed as he does deward this, but a first tri-lane win here for Mouz, and especially with the first blood, considering the heroes they have, they're sitting in a really good spot.
That's a huge win, actually, when you think about it. You don't think of wards and counter warding as that big of a deal, but you add in the first blood as well. I mean, yeah. But that's actually so significant coming out. So now VoidBoys have to pick up the slack, not only in that tri-lane, but everywhere else as well. And Quake was already off to a fast start. 8 last hits. He's got only 1 deny right now. I mean, we don't expect a Dragon Knight to do that well in almost any lane, in fact. He's sitting at 5 last hits, but Quakefoot is not missing many CS, if any at all.
Yeah, very good player, very good at farming, and with the Null Talisman and 2 Ironwood Branch, he doesn't have to worry about regen nearly as much. The Dragon Knight's not really a matchup that's going to be dangerous for him, so that's impressive CS, especially with that item build. So Fast Bottle will come out, and then he will definitely be able to harass the Dragon Knight, despite his high armor. So VoidBoys really needs to make something happen here. Looks like they're going to do a side pull that will pull some of the lane back under control. The creep wave won't get denied, but they can get a little bit more experience here. And the small camp also respawns on Mouz's side, so if they want to pull back, they can also do that as well.
It's all about lane control right now up in that top lane. That's the crazy thing, too. And Way2 doesn't want to be in lane that much, so it gets a bit harder as the lane progresses through. Way2 wants to be getting his level 3 and then stacking the jungle and moving on from there. So you do have a Gyrocopter, you do have a Skywrath Mage, there's a lot of damage, but on the other side there's a Visage, a Venge, and a Draw Ranger. There's damage everywhere. It comes down to positioning, like you talked about, the pulls being very important. Way2 is sitting in lane for now, and we'll see when he rotates out, or even if he decides to in the first place.
If we take a look at the bot lane, in the CS, Clock has 9 here versus Prophet's 11 and 5. Bulba is completely out of regen here, so Mega Poner done some really nice job zoning things. So we'll see the rocket, it does catch, so bit more experience and gold coming through there. So Clock's actually doing pretty good. He obviously has been heavily harassed, but even Prophet's getting kind of low. Only 1 tango left up on him, so Bulba's been doing a decent job here. Again, a bit of lag going on in the games. This has been pretty standard for this tournament so far. You know, the huge 5 times surge of viewers on Dodo TV, sure.
That's what happens when you have a free tournament and it's the biggest tournament in the world, so...
Yes, it makes things a little bit tougher.
I can't even imagine when we get to, like, the main event, how many people are going to be watching the games, especially, like, a big-name team. Like, against another big-name team, it's going to be absolutely ridiculous. So we do have some lag. We're actually paused real quick. And like you said, this is actually... Bulba's doing okay, despite not quite being where... the Nature's Prophet's at. Actually, he is tied in CS now with 12, but there is 5 denies going the way of the Nature's Prophet. This is something we were talking about earlier. You have the Treants to harass out the Clockwork, the right click, obviously, the range factor as well. So this is not inherently a Clockwork-favored lane at all. And so Nature's Prophet doing what he should be doing, but Bulba, of course, on his Clockwork, he seems very comfortable early on.
And the other really nice thing is that he's opted for more points in Rocket Flare, and you kind of have to do this in a 1v1 lane. At least if it's against a range hero, because in most cases you shouldn't be able to get in melee range to get the battery assault off. It's actually kind of a balanced matchup, Clockwork versus Nature's Prophet, because both players can make mistakes. Maybe the Clock stays around too long, and Prophet can right-click him down. Maybe the Prophet mismicros his Treants, and Clockwork gets right on top of the Prophet. But with Rocket Flare levels, he's able to CS with this while harassing his opponent, while lowering the HP of the Treants, and that's why Clock is... put the Nature's Prophet's HP all the way down to half, because he is going to continue spamming the Rocket Flare. And at some point, especially level 4, when he gets a level in Battery Assault, there's a real chance that he could kill the Prophet. Especially, it looks like he bought a bottle or something like that. He's got 12 CS here. He spent his money on something.
Yeah, I think that's his bottle coming out.
Yeah,
In fact, it is. And
he
that's
needs
huge.
that really bad. In the meantime, something's coming to Quakefa. So that's Quakefa's boots already done. So these guys are so good at farming that they're actually hurting each other by delaying their items.
And Quake was like, "Did you really have to use the courier here?" And Bulba's like, "I need to spam out my rocket flare, please." Why?
He actually really needs the bottle.
Yeah.
I would say Bulba definitely needs the bottle more than Quakefa does.
Yep.
Need his boots, because Quakefa's maybe going to continue pressuring the Dragonite, but a boots isn't going to make the difference.
Yeah, agreed. The
compared to the
rocket
regen.
flare is very important for Bulba to spam out, and just all of his abilities in general. And there is, like you were talking about, there's a way for both players to get kills in that lane. It really comes down to skill, I think, and Bulba right now is just playing it a little bit better, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes in that bottom lane if they do decide to go on each other. Way 2 is sitting around the corner. Arcane Bolt's going to fly. There's the Magic Missile. Pylite Die sitting in the
good.
back line. Double burrow
Great
comes out
burrow.
from Way 2. There's the TP in from Poner, but Pylite Die is so far away. They need one more right click. They can't get it.
Wow.
Way 2 on the ground, dealing out actually some significant damage with the Sandstorm. Way 2 will just sit there. He's actually done in about 6 seconds. Omega Poner's going to stay by. Way 2 just walks away, and somehow nobody dies in that situation. Even with a TP coming up from the Nature's Prophet as well, nobody dead.
It was that double burrow strike. That was amazing that he got 2 people with a level 1 burrow strike. The range is so small, but 2 stuns there guaranteed at least 1 less right click on the Skywrath Mage. That guaranteed would have been first blood.
Oh.
So really nice play there by Way Too Sexy.
All right, Black almost got caught out with the Treant blocks, but they weren't in position to go for a kill. Level 1 Frost Arrows, level 2 Precision Auras, so the right-click damage of Mercy Please, especially when he hits level 6, is going to be ridiculous. His farm is sitting at 17 last hits. The Gyrocopter sitting at 15. They're not really denying the Gyro, but they're making his life a bit harder.
But a good thing for Mouz is that he's gotten 2 single pulls off here on the small camp, and that puts Sand King at the big old level 3. So into the jungle he goes. He can start stacking things up and getting his own levels, and this gives more experience for Gyrocopter. It helps Skywrath Mage as well. Skywrath is probably just, he's just sitting in the jungle stacking for the Sand King. And Gyro's totally happy with this, and he can move into the jungle. He can continue pulling the small camp if needed. VoidBoys needs to take control of this lane, immediately get it close to their tower, and make sure Gyro doesn't get anything else here for free.
But already you can see the Vengeful Spirit rotating towards that top rune spot. She is smoked up, Fly's ready to go, and that is not the Complexity Fly, that is the VoidBoys Fly. Bottom lane, Bulba goes in with the Cogs Battery Assault to make a Poner. Has some decent Treant micro coming through, so the Battery Assault splitting up between the two of them. The haste rune from Bulba doesn't get enough done. He tried to go for the solo kill. Mercy Please rotates bottom. They're sacking the lane. They say, we realize that we could have gotten some kills, but we decide that we want to invest more farm in the Drow Ranger now.
Yeah, this is the right thing to do, because, like I said, if they didn't zone weren't able to zone the Gyrocopter, they're not going to be winning the top lane. The tri lane went a little bit too poorly. It wasn't a complete loss here, but it's going to force the Nature's Prophet to TP to the top lane and go for the more dangerous lane here. So now that it's a Drow Ranger versus Clock, this is really good for Bulba, because now he's got all these extra levels. He's already level 6, by the way, at 5.5, 6 minutes here. If he grabs a rune and he gets a hook shot on a solo Drow Ranger, Mouz is going to snowball this whole game, I think.
And that's when it gets real difficult. So he does have a bounty rune. It's not really the rune he's looking for, but he has plenty of regen to work with now with the bottle charges going. Mercy Please is sitting very close to his tower. He's actually kind of afraid.
Exactly. This is the loss of their tri lane. Yeah, it's safer for him to be on the bot lane, but now he can just die. Maybe it would have been better if they stayed top. It's hard to say, especially because Sand King's likely just going to AFK the jungle.
It's not like top was going disastrously either.
Yeah.
They were actually doing pretty well up there. They could have maybe killed the Gyrocopter or even Pylite Die once or twice. Maybe they could have rotated into the jungle, bought some detection, go for Way 2. Instead, Way 2 has a ridiculous amount of gold. I think it was 1,800 I just saw on him. That's absolutely fantastic. He's going to have like a 7-minute, maybe 7.5-minute blink dagger. That's absurd timing for a Sand King.
That is so absurd, actually. And Bulba's going to continue pressuring bottom, but even with Venge here, that's something they have to be worried about. What's Venge going to do? Throw a 100 damage nuke on him? They're actually going to go for the dive and the Visage. He's gotten level 4 out of this, but Mouz just getting big advantage. He can't even sprout Black under the tower. He does get silenced here, but even if he did catch him under tower, that was maybe a kill, but that would have been pushing it. His range was just not quite there, and VoidBoys just getting completely outplayed right now. It doesn't look like that big of a difference on the scoreboard, but look at the net worths. The top 5, 4 of them are VoidBoys heroes. And the Clockwork has more farm than the Drow Ranger.
Yeah.
The support Sand King has more farm than him. And look at Quakefa, just going insane on the mid lane. 3,800 net worth, and he hasn't even gotten a kill. He has 53 CS at 7 minutes.
He has 1,300 gold. We have no idea what he's going to buy, and honestly, at this point, anything's fine because they're snowballing so heavily. And you have to wonder, and this isn't necessarily for Quakefa, but for that top lane, how important were those counter wards? How important was that first blood to the way the game went? You could argue that VoidBoys were fine up there, but they didn't snowball nearly enough, or they didn't snowball at all. So,
well, they needed to block the pull camp because that guaranteed that Sand King got a level or 2, but that camp's really hard to secret block. You can pretty much place one sentry and cover all the spots. you could argue that that pull camp is too easy to deward, basically. But so basically, they couldn't block it unless they body blocked and made things a bit tougher. Ooh, almost a hook shot on Boba. He's like, oh, I'll take a free kill, thank you.
The TP came in, and the Mega opponent was like, I actually don't want to kill myself right now. I'd rather not go for that rune.
Exactly. He's going to mess up this little pull here, shoots the rocket over.
The
and
pull through, oh my god.
That guarantees that that's a pushed wave now, so even more experience coming for Boba. And most importantly, a bigger range where he can look for hook shots on Drow. As long as Drow's not on a tower, it's going to be good.
Mercy, please, like, I just want a little bit of farm, and I can't even get that. You block my pull through. What are we supposed to do here? The Dragon Knight is sitting at 39 CS. He's done okay, but if you look at it through Quakefa's eyes, Quakefa's just crushing him.
Ulti from a Mega opponent. They're going on Bulba. He's going to get the hook shot. Immediately ditches. He's got a regen rune as well, and he does pop it a little early, wasting some regen, but he's got to be completely fine with that. Again, how many times did Nature's Prophet TP'd for nothing this game? It was very different than what we saw last game with Complexity versus Gnar. That Prophet was everywhere, and every TP did something serious, but we haven't really seen that much come out of the Prophet. He's still farming better than the Clockwork at least, but with the Tier 1, I guess he's gonna be able to pressure the Tier 1 tower. That's one advantage. Great deny there, and that's actually a pretty good 30 seconds. That TP was worth it, I think. Despite not getting the kill, if they can get the last on the tower, and they do.
Not if they lose Schwann here. They're going to throw up the call down. They have the Ancient Seal as well. That damage is already ridiculous. They only need a little bit of the Rocket Rush. 747 is going to rotate in. He does have the Breathe Fire here. Black is going to try to TP away. Couple more right clicks from 747. They won't get the kill with the Corrosive Breath, and Piladai will make it out as well. And 747's like, I just needed a single kill there, and I couldn't find it. They lose the Visage. They don't get anything in return with that Elder Dragon form coming out from the Dragon Knight.
If Visage was able to do any damage there, that would have been a kill. If he turned and right-clicked once, that would have been a dead gyro. A little bit of panic from him. I mean, once the cooldown hit, he was committed. He was dead. He probably should have turned and hit, because as soon as gyro gets within range, he's dead. Shreds all of his armor. I mean, he was silenced. He couldn't cast Soul Assumption, but a right-click would have actually been significant there. I mean, it's hard not to notice your opponent. Again, they're going for Bulba. He's got hook shot again. Will he land it? He actually goes aggressive this time.
Epicenter from way too.
Oh,
he's
man,
gonna blink
this is so good.
Mercy, please, is going to get blown up. Bulba is going to end up falling here. They get one kill. Does he get the Burrow Strike? He does, and now they're going to get the Omega Poner Nature's Prophet as well. Way 2 is channeling from the side. Looking for Fly. They could custom shot the rotation from the Scarith Mage coming down as well. Way 2 is completely out of mana. He has 3 stick charges. I don't think it's going to be enough for a Burrow Strike, even if he uses them, but still, might still go for this. They have another hero coming in. It's Koifa. Koifa with a power shot. This snipe comes in the last right click. The Pincer Claw from Way 2, the casual Pincer, gets the kill. He'll TP away as well, gets the double, and Mouz Sports, even though they lose Bulba, they're starting to run over VoidBoys right now.
I mean, that was completely worth it. They got a carry kill in exchange for their offlane. That's the sacrifice play that you want to make as a Clockwork. And pretty aggressive play from him. I didn't think he was going to go for the carry. I thought instead he was going to back and go for the Drow, or go for the Prophet. But with Way 2 in the area, turns things around to the Epicenter. I loved how he saved his Burrow Strike as well that guaranteed the kill in the Nature's Prophet that otherwise wouldn't have happened. That was just really nice setup there from Mouz and really good planning as well. So they're just taking their advantages that they've been getting, and they're really utilizing them well. And in the meantime, again, Quakefa getting insane farm in a favorable matchup.
And it's just the little rotations as well. Quakefa rotates once out of the entire game, gets a kill. Omega Poner rotates like 3 or 4 times, doesn't get a single kill in the process.
Got a tower at least. And there's another terrible thing for VoidBoys. They jump in, they grab a Drow Ranger. And that is why the aggressive trialing is so scary. They're going after Bulba. They're not quite done yet, but all he has to do is TP. Here come the bat stuns. Very close, but nothing there. And Way 2 can very easily run circles around everyone on VoidBoys at this stage in the game. Nothing can stop him at this point. Unless he gets within range of a Dragon Tail stun, he is just... he can do whatever he wants, man. How did he get a Blink Dagger so fast? That was actually so much gold. He had a First Blood, and then he just went insane on the jungle. They played this early game so well.
We saw how much they stacked with Piladai in the jungle. They made sure he got farm, and boy did he. He got that Blink Dagger. It was actually a bit later than I thought it was going to be, maybe 8.5, 9 minutes. And I say later, but that's still actually absurd, especially in this patch.
And he got aggressively trialing, by the way, which is normally a scene for, wow, I'm going to get a little bit delayed because I'm busy or distracted. Or
did not feel like an aggressive tri lane.
It really didn't. VoidBoys didn't get enough out of that. That may be a big experience thing. Everybody on Mouz has far more experience playing professional tournaments than VoidBoys does, so they played that tournament, or they played the tri lane very, very well, and it forced VoidBoys into a reaction that I don't think they wanted to do when we look back.
Average time for Blink Dagger.
12 and 6 seconds. That was a big increase.
Yeah, that is not what we used to see. 747 is going to be backing up. But
Hook
there's
shot.
the hook shot from Bulba. The battery assault, they get the cogs up. He's going to pop the Elder Dragon for, but there's the Ancient Seal. Can't breathe fire. Power shot right to the dome. Gets the kill. Sprout up on Bulba. Bulba's been giving his life away. The cooldown's going to come in, but the Sprout actually zones him out pretty well. Gust, I think, doesn't connect on anybody. Shackle on to Mercy, please, but they're fine. Big Nature's Prophet ultimate, actually. The Soul Assumption, quite for getting low, but not low enough, has that casual point booster. That turns into, it's not a great trade for VoidBoys, but at least they come away without losing too much more other than the Dragon Knight.
Yeah, that getting at least one kill on the board here will definitely help, but look at the synergy on Mouz. It works out so well that they have Wind Ranger mid. Like, it makes your power shot so much better when it's on top of an Ancient Seal, and that's how you counter Dragon Knight. You want magic nukes, and that's what they've got right here. And the best part is that they're not even all in on magic nukes. If Wind Ranger goes for the slasher build and he goes Ags into a Daedalus, he can definitely deal with the Dragon Knight. It's going to be a little tough because he still does have high armor, but the crit helps you chew right through that. And maybe we'll even see him get a Desolator to help counter that as well. But we can definitely see Wind Ranger transition nicely into a hard carry, in addition to the Gyrocopter. He's doing great.
And so Koikfoot is going for that Axe first. He had the point booster. He's getting kind of close now, I believe. I'm not sure what he has on him.
Too. He had a staff.
Yeah, so he's actually just 1,000 gold away from having a full Aghanim Scepter. He's still only level 10, so he will have his level 2 ultimate pretty soon. Way 2 is bottom lane. They're going to try to push this tower. They're actually going to TP mid. VoidBoys, this doesn't, I don't know if this is a Hail Mary play, but they are going to try to push into this tower. Black throws up the call down casually. 747 gets hit by the first hit. Omega Poner backs away. The flat cannon only doing a little bit of damage. They push it out. 747, rather Fly, throws up an aggressive Observer Ward, but they will back away smartly. There's a double damage rune top. Meanwhile, Quakefa split pushes bottom. Focus Fire, easy kill on that tower. And that is very close to his Aghanim Scepter. 400 away, in fact.
I think Quakefa is playing this game really perfectly. He's kind of playing like a Dragon Knight in a way. You know, you sit in your lane, you get a lot of CS. If somebody leaves, you take a tower. You occasionally gank, but not super heavily. And he's been able to accrue a ton of farm here. And taking that tower in exchange for VoidBoys pressuring mid, they've just been splitting their roles perfectly.
And if your VoidBoys are, well, Darius Courier goes down. It looks like there was a TP in from that Nature Prophet.
Oh, Bulba
him.
punishing. He's like, no, that's my thing, guys. You can't. I'm going to see that coming. I don't know if he TP'd for this one, but
I think it was just home, honestly. That's definitely not worth it, right, for the Nature's Prophet, just getting a curve.
It's 175 gold times 5, and Bulba probably got about 250, 300 out of that. So on the gold, it's good, but
he's off the map.
Considering Bulba could very easily just snowball with this advantage, and that's a Nature's Prophet who wants to snowball himself, it's dependent. It's hard to argue. VoidBoys gets gold, but Mouz gets experience. So
VoidBoys do get the top tower, and the surprising thing is that VoidBoys have some formidable push in their own right. In fact, their push is very, very good. You have a Nature's Prophet, you have a Drow Ranger, you even have a Dragon Knight, and they have only taken, I believe, one of the towers. They took actually the bottom tier 1 as well, so they've taken 2 tier 1s. The middle tier 1's still there. Ags is now done for the Wind Ranger coming out. They even get, no, that's actually going to be the Medallion coming out for Visage, which is no surprise there. They do need some more minus armor to work with. They also have a mech on Omega Poner, so it doesn't look nearly as bad for VoidBoys as maybe it should be. They also have a Mithril Hammer coming out on the Dragon Knight.
He's farming really well, actually, considering his death earlier. So almost a BKB for him. That'll make him mostly immune to Mouz's damage, at least until Gyrocopter gets some good single-target items, which is far long away, or until the Wind Ranger picks up something like a Daedalus or a Desolator. So looking very good for Mouz. I agree with that. I love the Eggs pickup on Wind Ranger, though. Before Eggs was a good item, you just never saw it. But she really needs survivability in the early game, and we used to always see Wind Rangers go for 4 staffs. But the Eggs is just a perfect fit. Lots of HP, a little bit of stats. You get most of your usefulness from abilities. And while Pilot Eye looks like he might go down, he does get picked off, but a hook shot into Vengeful Spirit. She's going to fall for sure. And a Burrow Strike in. Catches the Nature's Prophet as well. If they can get the double kill here, that's going to make it completely worth it. Call on comes through. Need another Burrow Strike and a bit more. And there's the battery assault, couple more right clicks. He's got 2 trees, but I think that's going to be it for Omega Poner here. And goodbye.
Way 2 blinks ahead just to body block, just to make sure they get that kill. He can even Burrow Strike if they needed to, but Bulba gets the double kill. We talked about making sure he snowballs, and that's exactly what Bulba's doing.
6, 2, and 1. That's a good stat count for a Clockwork in the offlane.
Even if he's died a couple of times, he's having a fantastic game, and he really hasn't died that much. Way 2's top. They have Epicenter ready to go. 747 in the front lines. They even have the birds as well. They're doing some decent tower damage here. They lose the tier 1 mid to the Wind Ranger, though. Quakefa now with his Aghanim Scepter. Focus fire pretty good Way2 looking like he wants to push out the creep wave. They also want to try to take down these birds if possible. They're chasing as far as they can.
They can catch him. That's a haste rune.
They
Hook
have
shot's
the
coming.
haste.
15 seconds. There's a burrow strike on the Dragon Knight. Now the slow. Here comes the bonus damage. He will get silenced. A couple right clicks, but big soul assumption brings down Pilot Eye. Shackle's going to put him on the street. Quakefa taking some damage, but he's still very, very tanky. About half HP left over. Great Cogs. Epicenter comes through. That's going to clean things up really hard, and the power shot as well. Prophet's still up, but he goes down, and only one falling on Mouz. That's Pilot Eye. Completely worth the sacrifice and the big burst damage. Just cleaning up the Dragon Knight. He really needed BKB in that fight, but I still don't think it was going to make a difference.
That is some sick team play. The Cogs onto 2 into the Burrow Epicenter coming out from Way2. The power shots were beautifully done from Quakefa, and that is going to give them a huge lead. If we look at the net worth recap after this team fight recap, that's actually, it's going to be ridiculously big. Bulba actually is going to be going for a 4-step, it looks like. That's actually pretty sick. He's going to have that very early on. There's the Ogre Club for Black as well. So this is looking really, really solid for Mouse Sports. Fly has the smoke up, and they might need to do something like a Hail Mary play. Maybe. It just feels like they're getting out-farmed. Then there's the net worth. It's 7,500, and 7,500 as well for both net worth and experience.
It's just hard for them to get ganks off to come back right now. They could try to gank a Clockwork, which they tried a lot in the early game, but you have to deal with him hookshotting somewhere else. You could try to gank a Wind Ranger, but then he's got Wind Run, which is going to stop a lot of the damage coming out of VoidBoys, because you have Avenge and a Drow, and even a Dragon Knight needs to right-click a lot, and the Bats as well. Like, Wind Ranger was a pretty safe, smart pick this game. If you had something like a Quap, if he gets chain stunned, he dies, but you know, with a Wind Ranger, you just press that one hotkey and things become tough, and he is going for the crit build, definitely what he needs.
They scout this out with a Wave of Terror, though. They know they're doing this, and they're going to back away.
They're just helping them roast a little faster. They're like, you know what? Things aren't going so good for us. Get us out of our misery. Kill this guy. Medallion, fast Medallion on Skyreth. Not too surprising. That's going to really limit his survivability, but it's going to help out his team's ability to do things a lot better.
Mm-hmm. And they honestly could have roached there. They weren't really trying to contest that. The Wave of Terror came through. They would have finished it quickly with Chrysalis, procs coming in from the Wind Ranger.
Hey, man, they're winning 14-4. You don't want to chance little pushes like that. If you only had 2 heroes and you're kind of doing a greedy one, that's really efficient from VoidBoys to basically reveal. I mean, there's a lot of games that were won by little secret Roshans like that.
Especially in America.
But, yes, in America there was a lot, especially by Team Unknown, for example. They kept doing a lot of secret Roshans and things like that. But if you can just make them think like, oh, you're doing a secret Roshan, but we know you're there, a lot of times they're just going to back up and they won't get that advantage. So it's fine. Mouse is ahead. Played safe.
There's so many games in America, too, where like these Roche fights will just end the game completely. Like, all of a sudden, the game is even, and then boom, a Roche fight happens. And, well, that's just the one-team fight, and then it's done. It's done. So, let's see. This is the 7th time in his career that Bulba's had 7 or more kills at the 20-minute mark on Clockwork. That is, in fact, ridiculous. Liquid are doing it indeed. He knows how to play this hero. He's done it numerous times. They're going to head right back to the Roshan. Quakefa's going to throw up the Shackle Shot. They have that beautiful medallion from Pilot Die, the Chrysalis, as well as the Focus Fire Aghanim Scepter. There is absolutely no idea from VoidBoys that this is happening. Fly could throw out another Wave of Terror, but again, at this point, it would just be helping them. They'll take down Roche. Quakefa will grab the Aegis. He gets bashed up a couple of times. Quakefa's like, please. Finally gets the Aegis. 7 for 7 in the meantime says,
okay.
I'll take that trade. At least I get the Tier 2 tower out of it. So
yeah, that wasn't bad. Vengeful Spirit used the smoke to place a really aggressive Observer Ward on the bot lane, which will help them for their next push. So that's good foresight from him. He did that before it became a target.
Bulba knows. Hook shot. He
grabs
finds it. Fly. The Cogs up. The battery assault coming through. There is Omega Poner. They do have the Blade Mail. Good mech coming
Look at
out
those
as well.
heals.
Quakefa coming through. He's actually low, but the Shackle Shot, that should latch, and it will. Fly, he's not the most important target, but at least they get it done. They even get the courier that was flying over to Fly, I believe, with Black just right-clicking it as he sees it go through the low ground. TP comes out just to make sure Omega Poner can leave, and Way2 will clear up the creep wave.
So Mouz continues their aggression, off to push the bot lane. Tier 2 tower is very far away. I think VoidBoys has been doing a great job taking towers on the other side of the map, at least. Like the Dragon Knight getting a Tier 2 during the duration of the Roche was really nice. Mouz wasn't able to contest it, or they didn't have any desire to do so. And I think that's fine, because VoidBoys' draft, I don't really see it scaling super well late game. Their Drow has kind of been gimped in the early games, and in my experience, when I watch Drows have bad early games, they really don't seem like a fixture in the late at all. Like, look what he's got. He has Treads, he has a Yashi, he has a Helm of the Dominator. He hits really hard, but again, he can't hit Wind Ranger. If he ever gets stunned to start off the battle, a lot of times he's just going to die. I mean, he will be swapped out, but swapping even Eventual Spirit for a Drow at this point is not the best trade, I think, for VoidBoys in team fights.
It's really about keeping the Dragon Knight alive and maybe even on the front lines as well, so that Drow Ranger can put up that damage and make sure that she actually has some sort of involvement in the fight. And now that they have the BKB done for 747, maybe they can get a bit more aggressive or at least try to do something. Because right now they're just reacting to whatever Mouse Sports are doing, and Mouse Sports are taking a lot on the map. They even have this huge Ancient stack coming up for Black. His BKB is done as well, right around the same time with going Treads first as well, so Black's having a great time in farm too.
He's got pretty good armor right now as well. Oh, Hookshot comes through. Again, finding the Drow Ranger. How does he keep finding him? Focus Fire coming through, and Mercy Please goes down again. Observer Ward, that is a very common way to find your opponent.
That's one way you could do it, that Observer Ward on the high ground specifically. But who expects that Observer Ward to be there at this stage in the game? It's like, what?
Yeah, that's an early one. I don't even know when they placed that because it's pretty early. It was recently, about 2 minutes ago. Focus Fire again. Look at that damage output from Wind Ranger. That's a 15-second cooldown. The crit actually just scales so well on Wind Ranger. In my opinion, that build is the only thing that's keeping Wind Ranger viable. It just gives you some interesting options, and that's what makes Dota great, is when you have so much hero variety that's useful in certain situations.
So how much of an Oracle was Slasher then, if we're talking about that build?
That was literally by far the best build he has ever figured out, in my opinion.
He's done the offlane Enchantress too, which is starting to pick up steam.
I don't think that's as viable, and I think he could have had more efficiency there. I would argue about that, but I think his Wind Ranger build was perfect.
Hook shot comes in. They're going to find Chuan now in the cogs as well. They come in with a Sandstorm as well.
They were just jungling there. They wanted that Centaur camp. That's all. He just got in the way.
Sorry, sir, we're going to need to take this from you. The TP comes up from 747. He doesn't have to use the BKB. Bulba will TP back home. It looks like maybe he wants to get some more mana. The net worth graph keeps on dipping. The experience graph even more. It's looking real rough right now for VoidBoys. And Quakefa picks up the Daedalus. He's about to hit level 16 as well at about 24 minutes. And if he focus fires any specific hero, they're just dead. And he might even find Mercy Please now. He's going to walk in. Quakefa has the Shackle Shot at the ready. He knows.
Hero.
Oh my God, Mercy Please, we'll see you later. Gets shackled up and just dies during the duration. And Quakefa says, thank you very much. I will take that gold. I will take the level 16. And Mercy Please dies pretty much 2 times right in a row.
They gotta kill that Observer Ward. And at this point, you realize, okay, I've died. We've lost 2 or 3 heroes in the same generic area. They obviously have an Observer Ward in the area. And look, might see a hook shot. Fly you in trouble. There's the hook. Lands Battery Assault, Cogs, and Blade Mail as well. He starts attacking the Cogs, but that's it. Another kill. Nope. If that would have been a mech, they might have been able to save him, but I don't think somebody has a mech.
Omega Poner has it. He is TPing away. He did have his regular his teleportation ability, but he did not use it. He was staying top for whatever reason. He buys the Orchid. At this point, it's not going to do anything with the Gyrocopter. He already has the BKB. 747 hasn't been getting involved. There's the Force now done for the Sand King. He also has another, I think, recipe on him, but I don't know what it was exactly. DK still doing pretty well for himself. Clockwork almost has Ags. That's pretty nice. The recipe is Boots of Travel for Way2.
Way2 played this game so well as a support. A little bit of Sandstorm to dodge the potential Orchid, I think, or he was just a little scared. Yeah, it was Orchid dodge, possibly Burst Strike comes through, and they catch him again inside the Cogs. Another dead hero. VoidBoys just is looking so outclassed this game, aren't they?
They really are.
Like the tri-lane, the problems were so subtle in the early laning stage, but they transitioned into absolute overwhelming dominance from Mouz. They're just moving around the map and getting all the kills.
It feels like VoidBoys kind of tilted after that laning phase a little bit, or they just, I mean, maybe Mouse Sports just outclassed them.
I mean, you never know what happens in terms of communication. Maybe somebody calls for the Drow Ranger to go to the bot lane, and then he goes to the bot lane, and he's like, wait, why am I laning against the clock? This is stupid. It could be something, you never know, it could be something like that. It creates pressure within the team, and the supports are under-leveled, and they're trying to stop the wards, but the ganks continue, and how do you stop what Mouse has at this point? Ganks is maybe the only way, but again, they have very strong cores. They've got BKB up on the squishiest of their core, which is Gyrocopter, and how do you stop a Sand King? He can Burrow Strike, he can Sandstorm, he has a Force Staff, he has a Blink Dagger.
It comes down to the Orchid, I think, honestly, on the way to. Maybe
but he can still Force and Blink, you know? Like, Sprouts does nothing now.
Yeah. Honestly, maybe a good
just a casual dead Nature's Prophet.
I don't know why he's up there in the first place.
I just saw his dead body. I think he TP'd in and just hit the floor. That's what happened.
Pilot Eye says, thank you very much. I will take that kill. Maybe he threw up the Mystic Flare for it as well. So Nature's Prophet just casually dies in the enemy jungle, in fact. The Tier 2 tower is going to fall solo to Black, who is up to almost 3k gold. We'll see if he wants to go for MKB, maybe a Butterfly instead. He has a couple of options.
I think Butterfly's the way here, definitely. Look at the damage out of VoidBoys. They've got a Faceless Void, they got a Vengeful Spirit, they got a Drow Ranger, they got a Dragonite, and they have Visitor Birds. If it's a Drow Strike, I'm of course kidding about
Where's
the
that Faceless Void
but
coming?
I was just kidding. Everybody here has been making jokes about, wow, they've got a Faceless Void so often, so I had to make it on stream. But they have almost all physical damage, or at least right-click lineup. They are countered heavily by evasion, which is one of the reasons Wind Ranger's so good. There's a Shackle Shot.
When did she get that Blink Dagger? It comes out of nowhere. Oh my lord, she blows up Visage.
Her damage almost looks bad, but it's plenty to kill any hero on VoidBoys in 4 seconds, with the exception of Dragonite. He's the only guy that can survive.
I mean, we're not really even seeing that many crit procs come through.
Might see another kill. Here comes Shackle again.
That was sick. The Shackle out of the range creep and the Mystic
was
Flare.
that a double kill?
Yeah, it is. He's on a monster kill streak. They even have the Ags as well now coming for Bulba. We'll see some hook shots maybe onto the high ground. And they'll be pushing that pretty soon, honestly. They have pretty much all they need, maybe pick up that Butterfly for Black if they really want to. You look at the top 3 in net worth, and it's really not even close. There's the Drow Ranger who's kind of close to the Clockwork, and they're all about 9K sitting on the side of VoidBoys, but that's just not nearly enough to deal with not only, of course, the Gyrocopter, but the Wind Rangers who have been having a fantastic... Like, Quakefa has not really made a single mistake. He farmed ridiculously well mid, and he rotated extremely efficiently as well, getting kill after kill and tower after tower.
But they need to get rid of the vision on the map. I think if VoidBoys has any chance of winning this game, they need to get a gem, or they need to place their God tier sentry wards to get the observer wards. That one on the cliff is still there. Actually, it's a new one, excuse me. But how often do you see that ward just get left there in a high-level game? Even in pubs, that spot is dewarded all the time. And the fact that it's been able to retain there, that's why Mouz is stomping so hard in their ganks. They can see exactly where VoidBoys is moving. Both of their wards are actually very greedy spots that are pretty darn common. Yeah. But with them, they know where their opponents are. Yeah. And then Quakefa, with his gold advantage, can do whatever you want. If you have a gold advantage and they have map vision over you, there's no possible way to win.
And VoidBoys, they're going to watch this replay, and they're going to start kicking themselves. They're going to know that ward was there early on, and that's just going to feel so bad for them.
Yeah, look, they did put one sentry ward down, and it's on the cliff right there, but they didn't find anything there. And I'm sure the Venge is so underfarmed that he's like, I just can't keep throwing 100 gold on the ground and not finding anything. He's almost at gem, though. Definitely an item that he has to buy over his cores. His cores are too far behind. Yeah. This is literally a support game at this point. You need to stop the observer wards, and you need to get smoke ganks going, and the only way you can do that first is by killing the observer wards. So once they can get the map vision around, they can maybe start moving around the map and going for kills.
We haven't actually seen this DK use his BKB at all, and they haven't had the chance to. There's been no big team fights, but I don't even know if that would be the best idea for 747 and the rest of VoidBoys. You talked about getting ganks, and he hasn't been involved. He goes for a Hyperstone for what I imagine to be an Assault Cuirass.
Probably, yeah.
I don't think he goes Mjolnir here. Honestly, I think AC makes a lot more sense.
Actually, Mjolnir might be better. It does far more damage. I think if you're behind, and if you got a good Mjolnir proc or usage on himself, he could reflect a ton of damage during the team fight. It might be the solution, honestly, over an AC here. If the game is even, I'd be like AC, but you have to look at Mjolnir like a rapier in this game. They need a rapier to win, because I feel they're so far behind.
Omega Poner is starting to get farm across the map, but he's allowed to. I mean, because he can TP in and out. He's died because he's been risky. I mean, you have to make those plays, though. You have to farm outside your base. You can't just sit around and wait to die. They have to do something. And right now, Bulba is going to walk up. The force up to the high ground goes into a couple of trees. Sprout's going to go through. There's going to be the Grave Chili. Did find a lot. They have that Solar Crest. Bulba getting low. They do force him out. He hook shots away, but doesn't get out. Now the Dragon Tail. Pylai will be the first to fall in this fight. Calldown's going to come through. Omega Poner's on the edge and dies to it. Black's going to walk in. He's got his BKB, but he gets Dragon Tail. No. Pops the BKB.
God,
the Rocket Barrage coming in. They're triple kill. And they GG. They say, we can't take any more of this punishment. We are donezo. That is it. VoidBoys. They take a fight outside the base, and they're like, well, I don't know what else we can do now. It's time to get out of here.
That was a 30-minute game, but I think that was the biggest stomp I have seen of this tournament.
It was the quickest 30-minute game we've ever seen.
That was the ganks that game. Like, they couldn't do anything to stop them. Once Bulba got that advantage and he forced the Drow Rangers to never farm safely, they just moved through the jungle. They had the aggressive wards. They went for the super greedy high ground ward. Didn't get dewarded, and with that, they picked up 3, 4, 5 kills. Quakefa farmed insanely fast.
Yep. How
nice must it be to be on that team to be like, you know what, even if our game doesn't go good, Quakefa's going to get a lot of farm. But this game, they're like, our game went well, and Quakefa got insane farm.
They got everything,
and then
man.
he just stomped in the mid game. Quakefa just, like, Bulba secured early game with help from Way2. I think Way2 played fantastic in that early game. Way2 won the early game in addition with Bulba, and the mid game was won completely by Quakefa in the mid lane, I think.
Good rotations, good taking of the towers, and just methodical play from Mouse Sports. It earns them the victory, and VoidBoys look completely outclassed. We were talking about this team, a team that I thought specifically was the weakest team or one of the weakest teams coming into this tournament, and they perform pretty poorly. They have to try to get in, get a good draft in game number 2, make sure they throw some sentries around. Do not keep that high ground observer ward up because, God, that killed them so many freaking times.
Yeah,
so.
and I feel maybe they should have gone for a safe tri lane instead of the aggressive. That's one of the problems with aggressive tri lanes. If you go aggressive and it doesn't go well, you get stomped, and then all of a sudden the offlaner is level 6 at 6 minutes, and you're like, oh man, now there's a clockwork threat on the map way earlier than normal. He's got way more farm than normal. He can just absolutely stomp us. So because their aggressive tri-lane went bad, and then Mouse Sports is apparently good at ganking or putting pressure on the map, they just got completely steamrolled. So I talked about in the draft, I felt like they would have been safe doing a safe tri-lane. If Prophet is good at microing his treants, they could have prevented Sand King from ever getting a safe pull-off and then get delaying his level 3. That was something that they maybe could have done, and I think that would have been a lot better, especially against a team that's much more experienced than you. I think that might be the safer option. Go for the safe tri-lane, dedicate one support to zoning the off-laner. Maybe it'll be a dual off-lane, maybe maybe the Sky would come down and help counter that. But as long as you keep the clockwork a little under-leveled, I think Prophet could do the same to block camps and maybe catch up a bit, and then things would have gone a lot better. You could also rotate to gank the Wind Ranger, I think, with 2 stuns is generally enough, Dragon Knight plus Venge.
Yep.
And a Prophet TP as well would have maybe guaranteed that kill. I think the game just could have been much more in their favor if they did do a safe tri-lane.
It felt like a safe tri-lane anyways with how they played. And
I thought it was going to be that.
And honestly, the way it worked with, of course, the whole warding situation at 0 minutes and, of course, losing the first blood.
Mm-hmm.
After that point, they just really couldn't do anything. They didn't put pressure on. They TP'd a couple times. Omega Poner didn't get anything done. And from that point on, they rotated the Drow down, and you know the story from there. So game number 1 absolutely goes to Mouse Sports in more than convincing fashion. That was a solid game through and through. They look like a top-tier team with that victory. They do not look like a lower bracket team. And we'll see how they perform up in game number 2. This is a best-of-3 series, so there is that chance for VoidBoys to tie it up. But again, we will jump into a break here as we jump to game number 2. My name is Mont. With me is Purge. You can follow us on Twitter at MontDota, at Purge Gaming. Gamers.
Don't you read Twitch chat, dude? I'm surprised you don't.
I knew that. All right, well, whatever. We're going to jump into game number 2 in a second, guys. Stick around. We'll be right back.
See your face in the crowd, but you don't seem so far away. The only thing between us is empty space, empty space. And even when the music is loud, I'd rather be no other place than here with you now, here with you now.
playing a bounty hunter, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you get ward trapped or something like that. There's like a sentry, and then you get kind of baited into it or something like that, especially if you're in the aggressive lane. So I do worry for the bounty hunter that maybe he gets caught out, especially because there's a Viper and a Clockwork with cogs can easily kill him very quickly.
I think that's one of the reasons they picked Viper here, because if they put him in the mid lane, he's pretty resistant due to a bounty hunter gank, because bounty hunter has a bit of physical burst right at the start and a little bit of magical burst. So as long as he has one skill point in corrosive skin, it's going to limit the amount of times that bounty hunter attacks him by at least once. So one skill point alone is going to save you about 50 damage, not to mention the reduction that you get from a shuriken toss coming out. So I mean, they could always do something like obviously Quap was banned, but something like a more typical mid hero that's escapable. But because Quap's gone and Wind Ranger's banned as well, they banned Wind Ranger. But I just think Viper is a good solution versus a potential roaming bounty hunter. I think it works out nicely.
Not to mention, you talked about that 1 point corrosive skin, but that ability is so good that most of the time you're going to max that. That is the way to go for Viper. We rarely see like a max Nether Toxin or a max Poison attack first, because it's just not nearly as good as a max corrosive skin.
I like the skill point in whatever feels good right now, personally. I've actually, there's been many games where I've been like, you know what, this is a 3-3-3 Viper game. Because the 4th point of corrosive skin only gives you 5% and 5 more damage, which is like, yeah, if they have all magic damage, sure, you can max it out first, but I feel like getting at least 2 levels of poison attack, so most of the time 3, is an absolute necessity, because you know, back in the day when Viper first started getting picked, a lot of people go 1-1-4, and unless you ultied somebody, you know, they're getting away from you. By having at least 2 or 3 levels of poison attack, it does allow you to slow you down, and depending on the lane matchup, you might need more Nether Toxin to make up for somebody that's really good at last hitting. So I like to see a little bit of everything.
I want to touch on Viper a little bit more, because
let's do it. Let's talk about Viper.
I am a Viper picker. I'm actually
you know what? I am so glad you like Viper, because everybody's like, Viper sucks.
They're like despicable person for picking Viper. That's what they always tell me. And I'm like, I like Viper a lot. He's just easy to kill people with. And I wanted to ask your opinion. There used to be a Treads versus FaZe debate, and I'm a big fan of FaZe just for the apparent kill potential you get over on supports. It's so easy to take people down, and you have such a lack of mobility in the first place on that hero, and FaZe is really good for making up for that.
I used to always go FaZe on Viper. That you can really punish, but that's only going to happen in a pub where it's, you know, all pick versus captain's draft. So, and the other reason I would say definitely go Treads is because the hero is strong by barely surviving team fights or by tanking up. So I think Treads is really important. Plus Treads synergizes so well with Nether Toxin. The DPS output is so big, and the third and final point is mech is so expensive on mana now that you need to be able to Tread switch to get a bit more leverage out of your mana pool. I would say Treads every single game on Viper, honestly, at least in a captain's draft, high tier competitive game.
Especially in this patch, because of the changes they made to, well, last couple patches, they made changes to mech's mana cost and among other things, and you just don't scale as well with FaZe. You can snowball harder, which is great, but you don't, like, late game you still feel maybe undervalued. We talked about that 30-minute point for a Viper where he feels like he's pretty much worthless. Maybe you get a good start with FaZe boots, you get a couple of quick kills, and then you scale into about 30 to 40 minutes. You're like, I guess I have a mech Ags, and that's all I got right now. And sometimes that is the case. And
yeah, that's the issue. If he has, that's the typical build. It's like mech into Ags or mech into SNY. If you skip the SNY and you go Ags and you had a FaZe boots, imagine his attack speed. It'd be terrible, and you're not getting any value out of Nether Toxin. And it really is important to be tanking and to have that attack speed, because you get leverage out of plus damage from your skill point. So I think Treads almost every time. Phantom Lancer picked up for mouse support. Really good hero to deal with Viper. Obviously, they will be corrosive skinned illusions, but that really doesn't make a difference at all. It's going to be tough.
Too many illusions.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for him to figure out which one's the real one. And there's going to be, I mean, the only way he's ever going to be able to deal with a PL is by getting Mjolnir. And we did see that in one of the games earlier this week. I don't remember what game it was, but it was versus a PL, and they got 3 Mjolnirs on their team. And only then was Viper an okay hero versus PL. Before that, PL's going to pretty much be able to do whatever he wants.
It's like going into a life stealer with a PL. It's sort of the same kind of issue. You're just you're single target oriented, and you're trying to find that one particular hero. And through a sea of illusions, that seems pretty impossible in certain circumstances. So Viper might have a rough time. They do have a Disruptor, which I think is pretty okay against PL. I'm pretty sure you could Doppelganger the Glimpse, like you can Manta it as well. And it's pretty good. It's not as hard, I think, to it's easier to Doppelganger than it is to Manta the Glimpse. I might be wrong about that, though.
Yeah, by far. I mean, the Doppelganger has like a half or 1 second invulnerability time period.
Right.
So he can definitely avoid that damage there. And PL's very good against Clockwork as well. If Clock ever catches him, you just Doppelganger away. Or if one of your supports gets caught, you could doppelgang into that, and hopefully all of your illusions spawn on the inside. They might not. But if you can get in there and help your supports out, you'll be fine. So Rubik support, Bounty Hunter support, Darkseer offlane, PL, carry, and Mousesport's still waiting for their mid. And on their bright side, they've known this entire game, okay, they're going to do Viper mid. So they can save their last pick, or their mid pick all the way for the last one, which should hopefully give them something that's good against the core of VoidBoys, which is going to be a Sven.
Sven is something I have not seen a lot of success from any team that has run it in this tournament, in the American qualifiers so far. Durka was telling me there was some moderate success coming out of the Chinese tournament. I think there was one pick.
Yeah, I saw that game. It was one of the first games of the tournament.
And Sven is just, he's not been a hero that I've seen really good results on. Every single game I've casted or watched, he's lost. I've seen support Sven, I've seen offlane Sven, and I have seen a lot of core Sven. I've seen the offlane Sven go for Guardian Greaves. That didn't work out because Fly on the Rubik from Complexity stole Stormhammer and had better Stormhammer usage than the actual Sven did. And then other times he's just either too mid-game oriented and he can't fight early, or he tries to go too late game. They can't ever find that timing window for a Sven to be effective in any team fight. He doesn't get a Blink Dagger early. His Mask of Madness doesn't pay off. It's just, there's a number of things wrong with the Sven in those games. So hopefully VoidBoys can do something a bit better here.
I think it's a decent pick this game. The only other good Sven I saw was on Unknown. Their star player was playing Kotaru or whatever. He played a really good Sven. Went very greedy for early farm, and then in the mid to late game was really carrying his team. And I think against a PL, it's a great hero because they're going to have trouble finding which PL is real. Now he just attacks once, and you're like, okay, there he is. Attack him, guys. And plus you can Stormhammer multiple illusions. They're jumping on your supports.
Yep.
It's a great pick here. And as well, Warcry is going to give his whole team physical damage, which is almost entirely what PL does for damage. Diffusal Blade as well adds a physical component. So with Warcry, they're going to be very, very much in a good place. The downside is that Mousesports has a Bounty Hunter, and if Sven gets tracked, that means that everybody that Sven is chasing is going to run 20% faster. So those guys are going to have some trouble getting away, or they're going to be able to kite Sven at least. And Bounty Hunter with Janata and Rubik Lift may also pose that problem. It's a major issue with Sven is that people can usually get away from you because you only have 2 seconds for stun. So
what do you think about item builds for Sven, or is it too early to tell?
I think it's pretty standard. Midas is a mistake. I think you don't really need it. You already farm so fast with the hero. The only time I would say go for Midas for sure is if you're delaying your great cleave levels by a lot. But the way Kotaru played it is the similar way I played him in pubs at least, is you max cleave pretty darn early. Maybe sacrifice levels of Stormhammer. Kotaru actually completely skipped Warcry until like level 14, which I thought was a little questionable.
That's a little weird.
But the stat points give you a lot of extra damage with the way God's Strength works. Every time you get a strength increase, that gives you an extra damage with the level in God's Strength. So you're getting extra value there out of your stats. Stats are pretty darn good on Sven. So probably just Treads with Mask of Madness is completely core, and then you get a BKB if you need it. This game might be able to get away with a BKB, and if that's the case, VoidBoys could actually really transition to heavy damage mid-game. You could do Armlet if you want to. It's really cheap, but then you have item slot problems. Usually it's just Daedalus, AC with BKB and Mask of Madness, and at that point you're mostly out of item slots, and you can transition a bit later, but Sven definitely... He's a good late-game carry, but the problem is that he runs out of item slots so fast. They're pretty much around 40, 50-minute mark he's set. But he's perfect hero versus PL, so despite that item problem in the late game, I think he's still going to be a really good pick.
But there is the Invoker coming up from Mousesports, and especially a Quaswex Invoker might be a bit tough for Sven to deal with early on in this game. And I'm not sure if Black or... I think Black plays this for Mousesports, and then Koikfa plays the more farming-oriented hero. But then again, I don't really know. I'm actually not sure.
I don't think so this game, because...
Yeah, this does feel like a Black Phantom Lancer game, and then but I've never really seen Koikfa play Invoker that much. I'm sure he has played it. I'm sure I've casted a game of him playing it, but I can't remember one off the top of my head. And it's kind of an interesting pick actually coming out here, but it's still, I think it's a very good pick because Quaswex, the control that it provides, I think it's going to be very good, especially against some squishy supports like Disruptor as well. So
well, it's a lot of low mana heroes on VoidBoys. Yep. Disruptor is usually not a hero that buys Arcane Boots, maybe forced into it if it is Quaswex. So and Sven definitely has huge mana problems. Clockwork has some mana problems. If he can land an EMP Tornado, it's going to be significant in the scope of a team fight. So it'll prevent them from being able to do things, be able to... It's more of like a 10 to 30 minute problem. After that, everybody's got enough mana in most cases. So if it is Quaswex, it could be very good. In terms of Sunstrike, it's definitely not going to be Exort Invoker. It's Sven, Disruptor, Spirit Breaker for the setup clock. Probably not.
No.
Probably Quaswex. That's the most popular build right now. So, and yeah, I think that'll be good. It can create a lot of space for Phantom Lancer. If he gets in trouble, you can always lift your opponents or mana drain them. And definitely Blast is going to help a lot. If BKB's down on Sven, if you can disarm him for a couple seconds and let your team just run over him, it's going to be a really good thing. But
so who do you favor in the draft right now or after the draft is complete?
I really like Mouz's draft this game. I think it's far better than VoidBoys. I was wrong on the last game, but you know, that was play more than picks in my opinion.
And now they have, not only are Mouse Sports are easily the favorites, they played so well, they have the confidence at their back after that last game. They have a good draft as well. Bulba's going to be on the Darkseer going for the early Soul Ring. He actually sells the recipe or puts it down. I'm not sure. I think he sold it.
Probably sold it for an Ironwood branch instead. It's kind of a greedy pick early on. You know, it's, you know, what if 19 HP is the difference between you dying? So Pilot Eye immediately runs the top lane, going to plant an Observer Ward. I assume he has one. Yeah, very common.
Over Venom too.
Yeah, that's a early pickup. The nice part is you can get it from base now, so you don't have to run to the secret shop to buy that. So you can get to plant the ward and having the. He'll probably even tag this Disruptor a few times. Well, maybe not. If he does, it makes it clear that he has an Observer Ward. They spot that he is in the area. Yeah. They've got a Sentry Ward. But using it at this stage is not likely to lead to anything.
You have no idea where he's running.
Solo. Yeah, and that. So will he place an aggressive Observer Ward? Is he scouting out the enemy team? I'm not really sure. I assume that he will try to block, but it's not that big of a deal, actually. Darkseer doesn't care that much about the state of the pull spots because he can always shift over and take farm. So looks like VoidBoys is looking to contest the top rune. Darkseer will not be able to grab that by any means, and on the other side of the map, Mouz is going to trade it out. So Black is 20-4 on Invoker in Pro Dota 2 matches since TI4. He has the highest total wins, win percentage, and GPM on the hero of any pro with more than 5 Invoker games. With the voice of reason, he was on one of the best Dota 2 teams since TI4, so that may influence his stats, but he is definitely a very good Invoker.
I'm surprised they don't pick out they don't grab that hero more often, honestly, for Black. They grab it a fair bit, I'm sure, but still, the Invoker for him, just it feels comfortable. He plays it so well. He is going for the Exhort. We talked about it being a possibility, and there they go. They're going to pick it up. Now there's going to be the Thunderstrike as well on Pilot Die. Do they have that Sentry still up for Flyer Strong?
They'd have to like bash 4 times in a row or something.
Yeah, they're not going to go for the kill. They actually just throw a lot of damage his way. And he only has 3 tangos as well, so...
And you know what else? That's a support bounty hunter. Do you really want to drop sentries and focus that hard on a support hero? Not really. He might be able to grab the courier. It's going to be very close. Will he be able to get it? He's trying. He's not close enough. That was so close. That would have been 175 gold to everybody on Mouz's team. The courier again comes out, giving them another chance. He saw that going back. What happened? Did he have 3 pooled? Oh, he's going back.
He is going to get the second chance.
Round 2, he's not going to get it. I think he's
too
far.
What's the courier doing? He actually might have been able to get it. Maybe that was the better play. The llama is going to sit underneath the tower.
He's going to wait for this. They ping for it. They're like, oh, he's probably here. We haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, they know he's around there.
All right, I like this. Going high ground. He's going to invis, and he's going to go back. It won't be spotted that way.
Secret agent mission for the bounty hunter.
It. Which way will it go?
It's going to go all the way around top, maybe?
This is so dangerous.
It's going to go back through mid. He doesn't see it. Can he wrap around on time? We'll be able to get vision of it. There's Dota action happening elsewhere.
Nothing else matters. Oh, great. Now he's going for it, and we're going to look away. Oh, he gets it. Oh, come on. We committed a good 2 minutes toward watching Bounty Hunter snipe the courier, and then he looks away. Ugh. Observer mistake.
Good work, Pilot Die, getting that courier after a long-winded run. You've earned it, my friend. 1.5 minutes spent trying to hunt that damn thing down. That poor llama dead in the dirt for a while.
Completely worth it. 10 experience, but most importantly, a lot of gold. Oh, and
the haste run. He gets bashed up once. No second bash for fly.
This has become the story of the bounty hunter. We actually looked at nothing else but bounty this game. But
there's Dota action happening elsewhere. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Right now, there is going to be a telekinesis into that Spirit Lance. I don't think they dive this. They don't have nearly enough damage. They're going to throw out the Rocket Flare from Omega Poner. Koikfa does have the Creep Wave under the tower and another Spirit Lance at the ready. He says, no, I don't think so. We don't do enough damage. But Bulba, meanwhile, the top lane, he's going to get caught out. Surge away. Glimpse already went through. Charge not going to be completed. Pilot Eye will walk in. Maybe went a bit too early on that Glimpse. I'm not sure. I didn't see the beginning engagement. So
yeah, it's a hard kill. The Spirit Breaker being low level as a support, if he was maybe a range hero with a stun, they could definitely kill him. But as a melee hero, it's not quite the same, especially because the stun is pretty low. It doesn't do damage with one skill point. I'm not sure what Spirit Breaker's level is quite yet, but It did look like they blocked the pull camp for a while, but it has been dewarded, and now he's just picking up level 2. So not a very good level 2 support compared to the typical, but if he does a good job, he can translate really well in the mid game.
We'll have to wait and see. Maybe he gets involved in some ganks early on here. 3 minutes, no deaths yet except for that courier. Rest in peace. That llama's still dead in the dirt. Now, of course, 13 last hits coming up for Qualifiers in the middle lane on that Invoker.
Ooh, the Invis Bounty Hunter with Iron Shell.
That's actually so frightening. That Iron Shell's so very good.
They have the sentry down, and he's only got 1 Invis.
See, that's the ward trap I was talking about, but he's not going to go for it. He's actually out of mana. He's still level 1, no level 2 Janata or Shuriken Toss coming through. There's the side pull coming in from Bulba. They don't see Pilot Eye, but the Iron Shell and Mercy, please.
He doesn't have much time left, only about 10 seconds, and they're going to walk away. They can notice. If they're paying attention, it doesn't always show, but you're like, oh, I'm losing HP. What's up with that?
Oh, my God. Melee hero against double Iron Shell. That's frightening. The double Iron Shell for the Sven's being real rough. 7-4-7 in the middle lane, 16 last hits, almost tied up with the Invoker.
That's really good for Invoker. I
yeah.
think. And look at his skill build, a Viper skill build. Maybe he should have gone more Nether Toxin here. I guess, it is Exort Invoker, so if it was a Quaswex, I'd be like, go heavy Nether Toxin and outlast him. But this is the safer build for getting kills. And again, look how much stuff Bounty Hunter's doing. Snipes the Courier, secures 2 runes that could have led to a first blood mid potentially.
So
way 2 Invis on the bot lane. He's going to be lifting him up, throwing him back. He's got the nuke as well, and it's going to be a kill, I think. Here comes the nuke. They don't even want to use it.
Yeah.
And PL gets the first blood on the bot lane, so nice kill for PL there. That's boots for him, 900 gold. And that's going to make things a little bit more dangerous for VoidBoys going to the mid game if your carry does get that.
Yeah, the Quakefoot PL down bottom sitting at the high CS now has the first blood to his name as well, up to 1,000 gold to buy his treads if he wants to. So the skill build for Phantom Lancer this game, do you think he goes for an early Diffusal Blade or maybe he picks up a Yasha early on here? What does he do?
That's the item build, but he's got a stat point in here. Not going for Phantom Rush. I actually kind of like that choice. You know, if you go for the Yasha build, it helps you farm more by the time you hit like the 40-minute mark, or the 30-minute mark really. But if you do want to do any kind of early teamfight engagements, the Diffusal Blade is far superior because it increases your illusion damage by about double versus the very slight increase of Yasha. The movement speed's good, obviously, but it only does so much. They might go for a Viper Killer. Black's trying to get him low. There's a Sunstrike. It's actually going to hit with the Cold Snap as well. And the ultimate, this should be Pylai Die's death. Will he die first? He does go down. And actually, Suzy is still alive completely. He stayed alive just barely. The skill build of him completely paying off. Really nice save there by VoidBoys, and I thought he was dead as soon as that Sunstrike hit.
That beautiful stick charge coming through from that Viper actually saved his life. I'm not sure if he had many on that stick, but it still worked out in his favor. He walks all the way back home. He threw up the Viper Strike as well, gets the kill onto Pylai Die. And that's unfortunate because Pylai Die was having such a good time, but he rotates back up top. Mercy, please, actually gets hit up now. He pops the War Cry. Surge is going to go through from Bulba. Sunstrike got to come in, but he jukes around it, hanging around the tower. Mercy, please, dying slowly to this Iron. So he's like, please, for the love of God, stop chasing me. Bulba in trouble. They have the Thunderstrike and Pylai Die. They might get 2
double
here.
Kill.
Bulba is about to fall. The last right click coming through.
Nice.
They'll get it done. No double kill. They pick up one with the split, and then Schwan the Disruptor gets the other onto that Darkseer. In the end, they do get this Sven, but is it worth it?
I think it is. It's a little bit weird, but I think that's okay. Because the Sven, if he does have some farm problems, he might not be able to compete with the PL, who's doing really well. So it could create this situation where the enemy carry is so underfarmed compared to the PL that he's not able to deal with him in a good way. So I think that was okay. I mean, they are creating pressure on the map. The supports are then pressuring top. They're not ganking mid. That gives Invoker a decent time. I assume he's getting close to his Midas. Yeah, he's a mere 500 gold away from this. Good Midas timing coming for Black on the mid lane. So I think it's okay. It's not terrible for Mouz. Obviously not perfectly ideal, but better than nothing.
Yeah, and this Invoker's crushing this mid lane. He has 21 denies. That's actually ridiculous. The Forge Spirits are going to work now. There's a DD on Pylai Die, but they have that Sentry up. They're going to charge him. Do they have detection? Fly walks in. He pops it up as well. Bash not coming through just yet. They need the Viper Strike from 747. The body block's coming through.
It doesn't do anything. It doesn't
matter. Yeah, he's Shadow Walk. I'm not sure why.
There's the Bash. That's going to be it. Ultimate.
They don't even need it. They're just going to right-click him down, and 747 gets the kill. That Bash comes in. That 17% coming through finally.
I was a little unlucky. He had about 4 or 5 hits. Pretty close. I think 17% is like every 6.
He spent like half a second body blocking when he didn't need to either. I was like, that Shadow Walk, he's just going to walk right through it. He's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. Look at that glimpse back onto the top lane, but he's going to juke the other way with the Surge coming through. Viper's not there to cut off the retreat. There's going to be the Viper Strike on Black. Doesn't have that Wex point. Black taking some damage. This is going to be enough for 747. Jukes through the tree line. 747 can't find him. Sunstrike not coming in. It's on the other side. Black getting charged down.
There's the cold snap. That was a mistake.
Now the right
Black
click
dies.
Yeah, they're going to get the kill. It is going to be a trade. Fly
Oh,
doesn't
man,
have a TP.
free
He's
kill.
stuck in the tree line. Bulba's going to Iron Shell and just right-click Fly down. It's going to be
How
a 2 for
unlucky.
1. And the telekinesis comes in. It actually does kill Black, but Black might have died anyways with the charge coming through.
Yeah, I think the telekinesis was the wrong direction. Sometimes you always think like, oh, throw him towards your allies that because he's in danger, but really one more hit there secured the kill on the Invoker. If you would have pulled him maybe towards the tree clump to the right side, I think Viper still would have died, and it could have given Invoker enough life to turn around and kill the Spirit Breaker. Spirit Breaker basically got him with the initial charge hit. He might have been stuck by himself. That was just unfortunate for the toss, but Pilaidai gets more experience. He's almost at level 5 now, while also creating a lot of space on the map. He's 1-3-0, but honestly, this is pretty typical for support bounty hunters. They do way better than their stats normally show, because they do create so much space and create a lot of problems for the enemy.
It's not uncommon for him to be like level 3, maybe even level 2 at this point in the game, if they're having a rough game, kind of, and that's fair. And the fact that he's going to have level 6 pretty soon after he hits this level 5 is going to be huge. Track, any trade that they take is going to be favoring them from this point on. They're going to get so much gold, and at that point it's going to be so easy to snowball out of control. Pilaidai will hit bottom. He's going to right-click Omega Opponent with a Janata. They do have 1 point in Shuriken Toss. Sunstrike into the cogs. He's actually killed himself. Black does get the kill just barely with the Sunstrike, by the way. So that'll get him some extra gold. That's actually the Midas that comes out as well. 9-minute Midas coming through with Boots first. He's actually been dominating this lane, even with that death, but still, it is going to be that Midas coming through for Black.
You can't be too unhappy about that, and more experience coming to Bounty Hunter. It doesn't give him 6, though. 6 would allow him to really power level his gold game, but level 6 on Disruptor here is something they could definitely go on. The charge is coming through, but really good position there by Disruptor. The fact that he's even level 6 at this point is amazing.
Right.
As a support, especially a Disruptor who can't just naturally jungle or something like that. He's been able to get a lot out of his lane.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Forge Spirit mid as well as Black, they're backing away. Viper is very dangerous at this point. There is no point in Wex, so he can't just Shadow Walk or rather Ghost Walk away. 747 is going to just back away as well. He's just going to farm up. Top of net worth right now, it is the Phantom Lancer. It is Black as well up in the top 2. PL sitting on Treads and Aquila and a Quelling Blade. Nothing indicating he's going for Diffusal or Yasha just yet. In the meantime, Wei2's got to pick up a Haste Rune. He's got Arcanes as well. He's almost level 6. Pilaidai also almost level 6. So they're getting close. Meanwhile, Darkseer's mech pretty close to completion. I believe he has a full headdress there as well as a full buckler. Dust is going to come through. Pilaidai, that's not even, Pilaidai's nowhere near. Meanwhile, Omega Opponent throws out the hookshot into a hasted Rubik. That is not going to work. Pilaidai's mid, and they might try to go on 747 here.
Troy going to start things off. He gets the Invis hit. Cool little trick for Bounty Hunter players. Press Invis, immediately hit them, and you get the free bonus damage and get a second one later. So that's what he did for the trick there. Just a little bit of free harass. Keep the Viper low. There's a glimpse back. Wei2's not going to be able to survive this one. Gets charged on in a couple hits, and he will go down. Gets the charge. Might be able to. Ooh, nope.
Bash. Last hit
chance.
bash. Sunstrike coming out of 747. Doesn't walk into it, but still taking a lot of damage to the Spirit Lance. Koikfa, there is going to be a Static Storm, but he only hits the illusions. Oh, Schwan, he can't be happy about that. Glimpse is not there either. It's down for 12 seconds. I think he used it on maybe an illusion. I'm not sure, but still, they lose 747. They don't get anything out of the rotation from the Disruptor or from Fly, even using that ultimate there. And Pilaidai is now level 6 with 1,000 gold in the bank.
And I think the biggest loss about that was that the fast Static Storm didn't produce anything, and now it's on cooldown for the next minute. So Disruptor maybe could have shifted towards Bulba, for example, secure that kill. Even if he surges, you do a bunch of damage through that, and could definitely have gotten a kill off somewhere. But unfortunately, the Viper got dived a little too hard in it. Maybe he could have gotten if he kinetic fielded first. I'm not quite sure. It was looking kind of close, but you can't miss those when you're playing Disruptor at this level of play, because they should be a kill every single time. Great smoke here. Looking for the kill. There's the Iron Shell to start things off.
Surge.
And Surge as well.
They're going to go to the telekinesis, and this is
he
probably
get a
going to be a
stun?
dead mercy, please. He does get the stun off, but here comes the charge in, and it hits both of them as well. He actually might save their life. The Shuriken Toss comes through. Not nearly enough damage. Wei2 is going to fall for this. They turn it around. And that track does not produce any kill. That's actually a big turn. Fly was baiting that pretty well. He was in the tree line. He was waiting for a long time for that. They'll track up again, but here comes Schwan. Thunderstrike's going to come through. They have the Sentry Ward. Glimpse back. Should be available for Schwan. He is going to use it. Waits a long time for it, but Pilaidai, last couple of right clicks. The Storm Hammer. Mercy Please really wanted that double, and he does find it. He says, give me that.
They almost lost Sentry
Hookshot?
Ward. Hookshot? Does he get him? He does. Actually, there's creeps nearby, so Bulba's in
Nice
maybe not in
vacuum.
trouble. Surge comes, and there it is. A double kill there for VoidBoys. They're cleaning things up. Mech was purchased on Bulba before he goes down, but Quakewa on the other side of the map's like, guess what's happening.
He does go for the Yasha. He doesn't want to participate in kills as early as maybe you'd think. So, and he is farming up pretty well. So despite them losing 3 heroes, they're still getting a lot of the map with Black on the Invoker and then, of course, Quakefa on the PL as well. So That's nice for VoidBoys, but it's not what they need just yet. They need a lot more than that. We'll see how the Sven is able to keep up in terms of farm. TP came down bottom, I believe it was from the Spirit Breaker. He'll get some solo experience. He is level 6 as well, even almost level 7 in fact.
I like the fast Helm of the Dominator that the Sven made here. He's stacking Ancients, as you can see by the map. Grabs a little range creep and pulls it out very, very easily. If you're diligent about this, that is a ton of farm for you on the map. And you can disassemble Helm of the Dominator now. So if he does still want to get Mask of Madness, he can. What do you do? What do you make with the helm? The other helm then? You could make an armlet. So if he doesn't necessarily want to stick with the helm, which I think he doesn't want to, he's guaranteeing himself a lot of farm. I actually like this style a bit more than Mask of Madness one. And look how survivable he was in that last gank. He had 5 armor, far more than you normally expect. He tanked all those nukes and all those right clicks and completely turned around with the help of the Spirit Breaker. So I really like this playstyle, or at least the slight item difference coming out of this Sven. Don't focus your supports on stacking for you. You do it for yourself, and you make yourself survivable in the meantime.
And he wants to get as much farm as possible with the Helm of the Dominator. You talked about the stacking already, and that means he's going to be going for kind of more of a later game-oriented build. He didn't get that max out in Warcry. He has the 4 points of the Great Cleave, so it's clear that he just wants to farm a bit for a period of time. And when push comes to shove, he will be able to man fight up against Quakefoot a little bit later on down the road. Whether or not he wins that man fight remains to be seen. So
he should max out Stormhammer here, I'm guessing. I'm a little unsure about this build, but the damage is very good. 325 and an AoE can certainly swing some team fights if you catch it on 2 or 3 heroes. But the Warcry is also very good. I'm not completely settled on that. But there's a lot of magic damage on Mouz, so it's something that can be argued. But almost every player will max out Stormhammer in most cases, so Warcry eventually will be useful.
There's the mech for the Viper. A bit later than Bulba's in that offlane. 747 does complete it up, so there is going to be a push down bottom with Quakefoot throwing up his illusions first. I think they might have smoked behind the illusions getting ready to go. It's actually just the Bounty Hunter who's just in Viz. There is a smoke as well from Black and Way2. They're ready to fight this. In fact, they're maybe going to go right on 747. The Spirit Lance comes out. The surge forward onto Way2. Lift as well. The Sunstrike in trouble. They have the mech. They miss They miss the hook
Static
shot.
Storm, but a 3-man Cog's going to help out.
Viper Strike comes in, Vacuum comes through, Viper Strike was stolen, 747 is finally going to go down, but so is Black, flying trouble on the backside, gets right-click down, not dead yet. Do they have a Spirit Lance? They don't, it looks like. Quakefoot still trying to find him, charge out, can't do anything there. Omega Poner on the run, he's down to a little bit of HP, but he should go to, of course, Quakefoot's Doppelganger coming in from just a second. They have 3 dead on the dirt for VoidBoys. And that turns into a pretty good fight coming out from Mouz Sports. And that big thing, that missed disruption, again coming through.
The static field just really needed to hit there. They're going on the Sven a bit, so this is the scope of the previous fight, pulling the Viper out of position. Sunstrike does not land on him, and the Static Storm, they got out just in time here. Great Cogs as well to catch a couple of heroes, but Shuriken can toss, and at this point they just worked him down slowly. It looked like such a messy fight, but once their spells were casted, VoidBoys just really couldn't sustain here.
Fly almost made it out with that charge. I think it's right-clicked by Way2. Omega Poner in the last little seconds, and he just couldn't get out with the Doppelganger from Quakefoot, the last right click.
That's 3 tracks. Like, imagine what would have happened if they won that team fight. It would have been a completely different gold gain there. And the Sven as well, we'll see if he does actually get killed here. Lifted in the air, pulled back, and that's also going to be robbed from us. He did die.
He died.
All right, we know.
Died.
He also stayed too long, and he did end up going down. So
he was right under that tier 2 tower. He thought he was safe. Oh.
Hey, guys.
Hey, everybody.
We're still here. It is early. It feels late for me. Stacking up again, and now he will start on this. God's Strength is completely worth it for jungling here. At least killing stacks. Look how much damage that is. Cleave is by far one of the most efficient ways to increase your damage output, but it forces there to be a lot of units in the area.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool if Cleave just allowed you to do more damage to the single target as well? That would make sense. So you're cutting a bigger piece out of their flesh.
Either that'd be rigged though.
It would be. They would have to adjust the values for sure.
Omega Poner is gonna. He actually thinks Pilot Eye is still in there. He tries to go for the cog push or the cog block. I'm not really sure what he thought was going to happen, but
push him to high ground. Know for sure if he's there.
Yeah, that's true. Quakefoot is going to be farming up top. I think they got that tier 1 tower as well. There is an observer ward placed in the high ground over the Roche pit. You can see that VoidBoys are kind of gathering around it here. Actually, it was on the
good D ward there.
That's the Ancients. That's very important. Make sure that the Sven has stacks to work with, especially because they're going to be so far behind because of these track kills. They have to get these Ancients. They have to also think about maybe fighting again. They're down about 5,000 net worth, maybe even a little bit more than that. Those track kills really just crushed them that last fight. You could see absolutely dominating for Mouz Sports now.
So with the Yasha and Phantom Lancer, his damage is still a bit low. Static Storm's going to catch in the field. Does barely get him. Quick Vent trouble. Oh,
Pushes him out. Oh, he gets bashed up again.
Bash.
They have the urn.
Oh,
he gets the triple bash. Are you
yes.
kidding me? Fly, are you serious?
Oh my gosh.
Ice Frog, please.
At first I was like, you know what? I would be okay if this guy triple bash because he got a little unlucky by pushing him out there. But I just feel dirty now thinking that. Man, the bash Quake Fuzz. If he doesn't have a broken keyboard right now, I don't. That guy's got the patience of a saint.
Doppelganger, doppelganger, doppelganger. God damn it, it can't get out. It's the way it goes sometimes, that 17% black. Now going Necro 3, I believe he has both of the recipes in the stash. That's going to be huge for him, and he's ready to go. He's going to get ready to push down some towers, fight with his team as well. The
Good
mana
timing.
drain is going to be fantastic. And Way 2 is just going to push out the crew wave. He also steals Stormhammer. That's pretty nice. Manta style for Quake for now on the Courier. All right, that's a pretty good item.
I do not like that build at all. I think it really limits his damage output. I think the best build is Diffusal Blade, maybe a Yasha first, and then you get Manta, and then you go Scotty or Heart, depending on the game. I just don't like the Manta first build. His damage is going to be so much weaker. I mean, maybe he can dodge things like Nether Strike, interrupting them, or if he does get Cog solo, he has 2 ways to essentially doppelgang, but I just don't like this build very much. I guess he can farm faster. That's one thing he's got going for him. I don't even know if it increases your farm speed compared to Diffusal Blade, though, so I don't completely agree with this, but Quake was, like 85 times better of a player and carry player, especially than I am.
I think he sees maybe Mercy Please going for this late game oriented build, and he doesn't mind going for one as well. There's a charge coming through. It is going to be up on the Bulba, but they won't complete that. Pilot Die is on the backside. He's a Blink Dagger now as well. That track flight really helped them out. The Sunstrike, but Fly jukes to the north. But they get the Courier kill. That's the consolation prize, at least for Pilot Die. There was a point booster. There was a full BKB for Mercy Please. He's like, well, I could have fought, right now, but now I have to wait 2.5 minutes. And, well, Schwann's caught between a rock and a hard place. There's going to be the track. Hook shot in from Omega Pono. Nice cog push. There's the Static Storm, but only on Suetsu. They will get that kill. The mech comes out, glimpse back in, not nearly far enough. There's the Viper Strike coming in. Stormhammer onto Bulba. There's the God Strength. Bulba's going to fall. Walks right into his demise. Quake for get a doppelganger away. They don't have the mana for another Stormhammer. They're going to get away onto the low ground. Necro 3 is finally done, but Black not coming to the fight. Still backing away to that Tier 2 tower. And that'll be it. They'll pick up 2 kills on the side of VoidBoys. They get plenty of gold in the process as well. They use a couple of ultimates, but that is a great fight coming out from them. They really needed that.
Every swing of Sven just cleared all the illusions. That was incredible. And Quake's damage was actually pretty good. I was a little surprised there, but I guess he does have Treads, Aquila with the Yasha. It's a pretty good amount of agility items. I mean, Manta's like it's a pretty good stat item, and it's an attack speed item as well. So it really just increases your attack speed a lot. And I guess individually his hero hits pretty hard, and that's making up. His illusions may not be able to do the annoying drain somebody's mana, but he does have decent right click if he's in the battle.
Think how much damage he'll do once he has the Diffusal Blade, though. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, far more. At least 66%-ish more. 0.3.
I'm always so surprised about how much damage that actually provides too. So Diffusal Blade, pretty good item on PL, and will do some work, especially. The biggest thing is they don't have the biggest mana pools on VoidBoys, and you lose a lot of the damage when the mana is completely drained, I believe. So I'm not sure if that's that big of a thing, but
that's a very significant thing actually. Once they're out of mana, like you said, they don't get the bonus feedback. So in that way, a Manta does farm. Well, actually, it's probably comparable. Diffusal Blade gives you 20 agility, Manta's like 26, so it's actually kind of comparable, the 2 items. Bulba's going to spot out a Viper, and then he's going to Force Staff and surge himself away.
He doesn't want to force. Well, now he does.
Eventually will. He's going to have to vacuum here to survive his survivability. Here comes the ultimate as well. If the Viper can catch up, that's going to be a dead Bulba, and it looks, the lift comes, vacuum, the wall, that will be Bulba's death. I think Spirit Breaker goes down. He's almost dead. He does fall. And in exchange, that's a dead Viper. Sunstrike's off the mark just a bit. Too many slows coming out of here.
No track.
No bounty.
Bounty's mid. Bounty's like, I don't have a TP, guys. I have no TP. Good luck with that one.
So I'm happy to see that Pilot Die's build is still the same on his support bounty. The only difference is that he goes Arcane instead of the Tranquil Soaring. Tranquil Soaring used to be more popular. Then we started seeing FY of Vici Gaming going Arcane Boots, and he was transitioning into more like utility builds like Medallion, Urn, stuff like that. But I still think the Blink on bounty is something that too many bounties are ignoring. It's so good because you can do all these aggressive things, and then if somebody finds you, if they dust, you blink away, you're gone. You don't have to worry about dying. It's not the same.
The hero is really all about positioning. You want to stay on the edge of the fight, and if you do go in, you want to have the way to escape, or you can blink in if you really need to as well.
Initiate and start the damage, or you don't have to walk in and chance that they have a sentry. If they have a sentry up, Blink Dagger is still an amazing item. You jump in, you get your head off, you do your Shuriken, and the damage output is still coming out of your hero. So I do really like the Blink Dagger. I think it's a great pickup.
I'm reminded of a Professor Fierce video where he talked about bounty positioning and how important it is, which, by the way, rest in peace, but and making sure you're on the edge of the team fight and maybe to get in with a Blink Dagger, start the fight off, and always stay on the edge. There's a hook shot coming in. It'll be from Omega Poner onto Black.
That's really bad for
Static
Black.
Storm. Black is just absolutely housed. He's going to go down. Dunzo McDunzo. Mercy Please comes in, clears up a couple big glimpses back on the way two. They're going to try to keep fighting on this for VoidBoys. Way too about to fall with the right click. Fly getting low, but great mech coming out from 747. They might even take a tier 2 out of this. They do get the kill up onto Fly. I don't know if it was tracked or not. I'm pretty sure it was. But
I didn't see it. PL gets the kill, though.
that's its defusal.
Most of Mouz actually has Blink Daggers, so these hook shots are so important from Omega Poner, because if he does land the hook, that's a dead hero, because they can get the follow-up. But if the fight doesn't go quite cleanly to start things out, Mouz will be able to kite. Diffusal Blade's up, and here's the mana drain. Goodbye, mana for Clockwork. It's gone.
Omega Poner's like, why? I have 8 stick charges. That is it. No bottle charges coming through. They will take the tier 1, however, and they'll back away. He'll be able to regen his mana later, maybe even getting a rune or something, but still. I will say that this Sven is doing already a lot better than every other Sven I've seen in these American qualifiers. It's like, 23 minutes into the game, and they're still in a very solid position. The net worth graph might not be indicative of that, but he is looking pretty strong, and he's top of the net worth, in fact. Not by much, by like 100, in fact, but he's got his BKB now. He's going for Assault Cuirass as well, and that's the biggest thing.
Despite his 2 deaths, yeah, good net worth. His KDA is okay for a carry. I would say it's not ideal. A lot of carries are going to be like, I want 1 death, no death, something like that. But considering his farm rate, he's doing well. And he's playing a bit of a different role. And I kind of like the way that he's doing this. He's still sticking with the Helm of the Dominator, not going for Mask of Madness. Rather than being like, I'm going to burst you down and hopefully kill 3 people within 2 seconds of cleave, he's playing the tanky, safe role. And he's putting a lot of skill points in Warcry. And I've been like whining about Warcry for like days, but it scales so well. Every single, if we could just take a look at the scaling for it, it's literally 5 armor per level. The uptime is 8 seconds and the cooldown is 14. It means for 8 out of 14 seconds, your whole team has 20 armor.
That's a ridiculous amount as well, especially early on in the game. Nether Strike on the Pylai Day, that was long range. They dust up as well just to secure the kill.
That was so well done. Like, if he would have charged by the time they got to Pi, he would have been on the other side of the river. And yes, he gets a bit more damage out of it, but the scary part is that if your opponents are even closer to the bounty hunter, that could be the difference in the team fight, being a good initiation or a bad initiation. So that was absolutely good use of his ult there. I really like that.
Fly is tracked up, or at least he was. They knew they were doing Roche. The Forge Spirits will confirm it. They're going to kill the Forge Spirits as quickly as possible. Waitu's going to get scouted out by a couple of flares. There's going to be the Aghanim Scepter for the Viper as well, which is pretty important long range. They're going to smoke in. Koifa's walking in the front lines. Mercy Please is completely out of mana. They know this.
No ult either, so can't even Warcry pops a BKB, and that's all he can do is walk away. You can't not have a wand on a Sven, in my opinion. Especially against a PL. They're going to mana drain you. You have to have a way to get some mana if you really need it. If you had mana there, he could have Warcried. He could have casted his Stormbolt, but instead he has the defensive BKB and he's gone. One major mistake made by VoidBoys here.
Is this going to be theirs? They do have the hook shot. They're going to just charge
Good
it first and foremost.
There's
a Static Storm onto 4. Black now caught out of position as well. Roche goes down. Koifa gets the Aegis though, but Stormhammer onto 2. Here comes Mercy Please. Stormhammer was stolen. 747 now in trouble. Vacuum comes out. They have somebody in the high ground. Flyby's back. Koifa's still. Aegis ready to go. There's the defusal on Schwan. Sven is stuck on the high ground. He can't get out. They're going to have to take this fight without him. Bulba getting low, but not low enough. Omega Poner misses the cog, the flare. Bulba's still alive. There's the defusal. Omega Poner's going to fall as well. 747 is on his own, but here comes
charge.
Fly.
That's gotta be dead,
747's going to TP away. Bulba is going to go down. It looks like to this last right click of Fly. He will fall. They don't take the Aegis coming out of Koifa. There's the stun. The Stormhammer. It came in from the Blink Dagger from Waitu. They are going to get Fly. That's a dieback coming out from the Spirit Breaker. And that Sven was stuck on the cliff for almost the entirety of the engagement. Mouz Sports, what happened? That was beautiful turnaround from them. They don't get that much gold, though.
That's even, man. 3 deaths and 2 buybacks from each team. That was the mid Invoker and the support Spirit Breaker. Not too bad. They didn't lose the Viper. He looked like he was vulnerable, and killing Spirit Breaker in exchange for the Darkseer, neither team has to worry about that. That was a completely even fight. I think that doesn't take into account track gold, though. I don't know how many times we saw tracks during the course of that team fight, but if they did get a couple tracks, they will get a gold advantage, but not too bad, I think, in the scope of things.
It swings a little bit upward towards Mouz Sports, but the fact that VoidBoys came away in that position is pretty good, considering the positioning of that fight. We talked about this Sven, obviously, on the cliff. That was huge. So Mercy Please His BKB is back up. Like you talked about, there's going to be some mana issues. The wand can obviously rectify that. Maybe, what other item can you get that'll help for that?
BKB's away, but if you're not magic immune when the illusions are hitting you, your mana's drained. It's not like it just gives you mana, you know?
Yeah.
Does anybody have Arcane Boots on VoidBoys? I don't. He wouldn't even want Tranquil Boots. I don't like that at all by Disruptor.
Wow.
I mean, I love getting Tranquil Boots on Disruptor, but this is not the game to skip out. It kind of is, because if you skip Tranquil Boots and you become so vulnerable to the PL because he does mostly physical damage, it's a hard choice, but nobody has Arcane Boots on VoidBoys. And that's really scary. He's going to go Butterfly next. I think this is... if you miss, you don't cleave, right?
I'm not actually
Gank
sure.
on the top lane. I think you don't cleave. He's going to go for the TP. There's the Storm Hammer, the lift. Very, very easy Viper kill. And this is... He can't do anything to stop. That didn't matter. I mean, other than TP, of course. If PL somehow had a stun, he could kill that Viper 80 times out of 80. You know, there's no possible way the Viper can stop that. It's going to be a long time till Viper is able to come close to fighting PL.
Maybe he needs a BKB first and foremost to stop the diffusal coming out. And
for the Viper?
Yeah. He's going for it. He has the Ogre Club. So, I mean, he needs some way to be able to just get out, or at least... Well,
oh, good hook shot. They're going to catch him. That should be a dead
that was
PL.
blind, I don't think. I don't think they had any vision there.
No, he had the lightning, maybe.
They had the sentry on the backside. They saw where he's walking. He was still pretty beautiful. Bulba, another strike. There's way two getting caught out. Stormhammer, he's like, oh, dear God, the body block from the creep wave. Wouldn't have survived anyways. That is going to be a Blink Dagger coming up from Sven. He can get in and out of fights a bit more effectively now. They're trying to chase this, I think, for Mouz. No, they back away. Quickfoot is split pushing top with that Aegis. He's working on the tier 2 tower. In fact, he gets it, too, with just the illusions. And Fly's mana is just gone. It's nowhere to be seen.
That's a really good solution against the mana drain, though. He doesn't have to put himself in a position where he can get caught by the mana burn. And they're going on Spear Picker again. He casts his Empowering Haste. Can't even tell. He goes down. There's the stun. Ulti as well. BKB. Black gonna get 3-shot. And now the PL illusions getting cleaved down in 3 hits. Quickfoot jump into the high ground.
No,
Great.
Quickfoot, no!
That's good for him. They're cleaving. He almost got the kill there. Slight positioning adjustment from Sven. He could have gotten that kill, but he didn't know.
They had a cog push as well. They didn't know where he was, and I don't blame them. Oh, that actually looks so bad. I freaked out, but in the end, that might have saved his life. Like
I don't think Quickfoot tried to do that, because if he did, he would have TP'd instantly.
Yeah.
He just sat up there and was like, well, what do I do now? And instead, it actually ended up being his survive. And that would have been Aegis. Maybe he could have respawned and won the fight, but Sven was hitting very, very hard right there. That's the only solution they have for PL, and it's a good one. So VoidBoys is definitely still in this. Not out by any means. The Viper, if he's the one that's trying to kill the PL and he's solo, he's going to get wrecked. But the Sven is the solution.
If they have their team there, if they're ready to go, especially with a Static Storm too, this becomes a lot easier for VoidBoys. And you have to wonder what the PL is going to do against that. And also, Black just gets demolished. He didn't do anything in that fight. Maybe he got his minions out, but I don't think so.
Barely. It was a blink stun 3-hit. Dead. With Static Storm on top. But that's little damage at the start.
Yeah. So Black now starting to feel... He hasn't really been involved in any of these fights, it feels like, and that seems to be a big issue. You have a Bounty Hunter. He's not really doing damage. I mean, yes, he's tracking. He's blinking in. He's getting some Shuriken tosses, and Janata's off. There's the Mask of Madness. This is exactly what you were talking about. He doesn't go for the armlet, though. Okay. He might have just disassembled the Helm of the Dominator and maybe just kept the Helm of the Iron Will elsewhere or sold it.
Yeah. I mean, he's got enough armor now because of the AC. I think it's okay to sell it. You could look at it like a Midas. You know, he spent that 450 gold or 400 gold that he wasted for the item by stacking Ancient Camps. So that's, what, 2 camps? If you stack at least 2 times, then you get the value from the Helm later being sold. So he is going to be a bit weaker to the PL, but I think the increased attack speed is definitely something that he's going to want. Again, he might have mana problems because it costs 25 to activate the mask and 25 to Warcry. So if his BKB's out in a long duration fight, might not be able to utilize it as nicely as the Helm would have.
I feel like it really comes down to a good kinetic feel of Static Storm. Him blinking and Storm Hammering. If they can get that perfect fight, it won't end the game, but it's going to give them a really good advantage. Vacuum back into 747. There's the track. There's a lot of heroes. Double hook shot. Actually, only under 1. Telekinesis, and I think 747 is just going to be dead. Yeah, the track comes out. He does get the Viper Strike off. Doesn't really matter. The TP from Omega Poner, he'll get out. But again, 747 not really in any position to be able to retreat from that unfortunate engagement.
Must be so nice to play Rubik versus Viper. You always know they can grab an ultimate.
Yeah.
You just grab it, throw it out, and you're like, do I want to land a level 3 ultimate on Viper? Okay, I'll take that for free.
That sounds pretty good.
Ooh, Ags finished on Disruptor. This guy's 4-1 and 12?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't want to be mean, but he missed a lot of ultimates in the early game. I am so surprised that his KDA is that good.
Yeah, this is honestly great positioning. The Aghanim Scepter obviously increased damage coming out, stops the BKB for whatever hero is going to be going for it, and other items as well. And for VoidBoys, this is just honestly a very good spot to be in. And like you said, I'm also surprised that he's in this position as well.
It's good he got it. Like, he can do so much with that. If they catch PL, with that, PL actually just dies. If it's Sven and PL, basically they're going to create a rumble pit, like a lightning rumble pit. If they create the rumble pit and Sven jumps in and he's like, hey guys,
the Thunderdome.
4 hits and people die. Catching 1, Bounty Hunter, great force staff, going to push him on out, but he does get cleaned up by the Rocket Flare charge coming as well. This game is very much can be won by VoidBoys. It's looking okay. We are seeing some heroes get picked off, but they've got the tools. And with the Disruptor farming eggs, like, they can lock down the PL.
Yeah, and we're going to see a lot more Disruptor as well. We've seen it already a lot in the American and Chinese qualifiers. This hero is starting to make a big resurgence, and I think for good reason. Soul Booster picked up for Black.
Octarine Core?
Yeah, it must be. I'm thinking.
He will not Bloodstone. There's no need.
Yeah.
He doesn't need that much mana.
Yep. That is an excellent pickup, I feel like, for the Invoker.
I've heard some people say that it's generally worth it to go Ags first, but I don't think it was any pro that said that. He will be charged here, but he can always Tornado.
This is going to be really weird. He Tornadoes up the
Gets
charge.
caught.
That's going to be the Static
dangerous.
Storm. Black in trouble now. Fly. Nether Strike's going to come through. They're going to get the bash up, and Black's going to fall.
Wow.
That is a super long duration. I mean, I knew the Aghanim Scepter duration was long, but it always surprises me with actually how long it is.
And it's actually a lot of damage. The maximum pulse does, what, 250 per second? That's like a Leshrac ulti supercharged. And for 7 seconds duration,
imagine if it's level 3 too.
Yeah, I mean, that was mostly damage from Disruptor. That was another strike doing tops 500, so that was a good... That was like a Laguna Blade with Aghanims that was done to the Invoker just there. Those pickoffs are so crucial. The Spirit Breaker support is completely doing work this
If they could only find a way to kill Koikva, I think that's their biggest problem right now, is he's split pushing, he's taking tier 2 towers, and he's just being a general nuisance across the map. And it's difficult. It's really kind of hard for them at this point. So.
Once they get a Blink or a Force Staff on the Disruptor, it's definitely a possibility. They just need to do a Blink and then cast the ult.
Yep. Blink R button.
Okay, so he had Octarine Core in his last game. The nice part is that Octarine Core reduces the cooldown of Midas, reduces the cooldown of Necro, and all of his other spells. And the lifesteal can be nice. I think it's a pretty tough game for him, though. I dare say he needs a BKB. Maybe the Octarine was a bit too greedy. He would have lived there, guaranteed, if he had BKB. And a lot of these pickups are due to glimpses. So they're going in on the Viper. Do they have the stun? There's the Tornado. That should be a kill. Track as well. So Viper, again, this is basically just trading cores for cores. One guy's core dies. He tried to steal that, but Black's like, nope, this one's mine. Trading cores for cores. Viper dies, then somebody on Mouz dies, and Viper dies again, and somebody on Mouz dies.
It's really just the Viper on VoidBoy's side. Fly's going to charge to the bottom lane. Sunstrike's coming, I think, into this Roche pit just to see if it's up, which in fact is.
Found that TP. Somehow it didn't burn.
that TP is
magical paper.
That is some fire-resistant paper. Hookshot comes into the top rune spot. They'll find way to. Gets forced out by Pilot Eye, I believe.
Oh, double stun. Doesn't quite get it off.
Mercy,
looking
please.
for it.
There's the fog coming through. Gets forced to the high ground. Mercy, please. Even pops the BKB for this. They glimpse back in under Bulba. He pops the BKB himself, and now...
They might be able to kill Sven, but it looks like Clockwork might go down. There's the Tornado coming through, and 3 heroes to deal with this. They need to land the slow. There's a Telekinesis. That should definitely be a dead Sven. No, the charge comes in. That might save it. Stun on Black. Great blink dodge of the Stormhammer, and... ultimate as well. Black gets mini stun, but that's it. He's not going to be able to juke anymore here, and he does end up going down.
He has no buyback. The Courier dies as well on the Radiant side. Omega Poner picks it up, but with 83 seconds, and Koikva right at that top tier 3 tower, that might just be it. At least it's going to be this tier 3, maybe even Rax. If VoidBoys are not careful, this is going to be tough to handle. There's no usage of that Static Storm coming out. Koikva knows this. He's going right to work. There's the Glyph coming through. Fly looking to do what he can, but he has no Nether Strike as well. And suddenly this Tier 3 is falling low and falling fast.
The hero with the AoE is the dead one, and Viper may even get killed here. They've got to be so careful. It's definitely something Mouz can go on if needed. Melee Barracks falls. They will retreat after they finish the range barracks. And
there's still Tier 2s left, so... the damage is done. VoidBoys shouldn't panic yet. One set of racks is pretty critical, but it's not game-losing just yet. But the biggest thing is going to be this Roshan as well.
That fight just needed to go a little better for VoidBoys. The Sven, if he was slightly closer, if he would have blinked and immediately gotten the double stun, he obviously didn't have vision up there, reacted a bit late, and then the super sick plays from Clock to force the Rubik to the high ground guaranteed them that fight went well. Then the Sven wasted his ultimate timing, he wasted his BKB timing. Just a really bad situation for him. If he got the double stun, that was 2 dead heroes. A small change in that fight could have been so big.
Absolutely. And VoidBoys now looking down the barrel of losing a set of racks and maybe Roshan as well. In fact, definitely Roshan. They're going to get this Roche. They're going to get the Aegis. No cheese. Only the second Roche coming out. They'll probably sit back and farm for a bit longer. Maybe wait it out. They do have the Octarine Core coming up from Black. There is no buyback for the Sven. How close is he to that buyback, in fact? He's sitting at 1,400 right now. The buyback is 651 away. In fact, they have no buyback coming out on any side of the Dire team, so that's pretty huge. He does have that data list coming out pretty soon. I believe that's the recipe in the stash, in fact, is. So he's only 1,000 gold away from that, but at this point, buyback might be even more important for the Sven.
But in the same vein, if they get the Rumble Pit, that's GG. That's the scary thing about Sven.
Really? Just GG?
Oh, easily. I mean, you could very easily get a 5-man swing with Sven if things go well. I mean, that's why Sven was picked a couple years ago. Darkseer Sven, if you get the right vacuum and you 5-man stun, he just dies. It's essentially exactly the same as Magnus plus any melee carry. If you get the good RP and they have Empower, bam, they die. But Sven's a little scarier. His crit damage is so high. Nags on Rubik, way too sexy, man. This guy is so good.
What is with the, like, I know Rubik has had like a losing record this tournament, but the top tier Rubik players like Fly and him and just every other Rubik I've seen, honestly, at least I've casted, they have made some ridiculous plays. Way too's been on point. He's died a couple of times, but the fact that he's an Aghanim Scepter, especially with the Disruptor in the game, is so important. Not to mention
that's a good point.
Strength.
He could steal that. It's hard though, because he's going to always cast Kinetic Field very, very similar in time. But what else could he grab? Viper Ultimate. He's going to have that supercharge. He could grab the Sven Ultimate. That would be insane. He could buff up his team's damage massively. Clock Ultimate would be okay. Literally everybody on VoidBoys, any of those Ultimates stolen is going to be great. But mainly the Viper one is the easiest. 12-second cooldown on that.
He's going to have that literally anytime he wants. Anytime he wants a Viper Ultimate.
He probably doesn't even need to hold it, because he could steal that every 5 seconds a Viper is around.
Yep, that's true.
But he has to wait for the cooldown. It's individual. He can't just cast it every 5 seconds.
Yep.
That'd be cheap.
That would be...
Not that 12 is much different, but...
Yeah. It's a lifetime in Dota 2 sometimes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So looking really good for Mouz. I think the difference between the Rubik players is maybe kind of a trend thing. You see the top teams picking him, and then your team's like, okay, these teams are using this. That's obviously good. Let's try it out. And they just can't execute it quite as well. And as well,
hard hero to execute.
It's about win rates as well. The teams that are losing are having other issues. It may not be Rubik. So I think that's just the trending losses of losing teams.
Qualifier has his Scotty. They're going to go for a push into the mid-tier 3 tower. All of the outer towers now gone. The illusion's going to go to work, and the Scotty's ready to go. Fly sitting back. They do have the Disruptor Ultimate Quakefoot sitting in the back line. He's going to throw up the Spirit Lance.
Mana Drain.
This tier 3 tower,
they're actually so tanky now.
Yeah, this tier 3 tower is actually so rough. It's about to fall. They're just going to lose this tower. Their racks are now naked. And not only that, but they have to defend against the top lane, always pushing in.
He's out of mana.
They actually, like, Mercy Please just has to go home. He doesn't have mana for God Strength. And this is going to be a range Rex, it looks like. There's the Necro Warrior just going to work. Quakefoot goes right on the melee Rex. They have no glyph, apparently.
That's it. Melee Barracks is down.
Is this just going to be it? They're just going to lose 2 racks for free, essentially. They're going to not be able to contest because of, I guess, Diffusal Blade and just Mana Drain.
Literally the Mana Drain. That's all it took. They had to hide Sven, maybe use a smoke, and then jump in and go for it. That was the only way that was going to work. And now they took another Rax disadvantage. VoidBoys falling apart here. They're doing their best. They had a close game. It's not over yet, but they, going 2 racks down and then coming back makes it so much harder.
They need to go, and 747 is going to be out front. There is that smoke, but it might be too late. Omega Porter is going to get revealed by Pylai Die. Where's the rest of this team? 747 is at half HP right now. They still have the H's on Quakefa.
He might just die to those illusions.
Yeah, so there's the hook shot to initiate things off. They've got to fight here. They're going to find Black, but he's going to get forced out. Stormhammer on it too. The cleave.
That's what I'm talking about.
They get a double kill immediately. Quakefa's still up on the high ground, ready to go. BKB is about to go down, as well as God's Strength. Quakefa comes back in. TP coming through. That'll be from Viper. Gets through. Quakefa's going to be spotted. Now Doppelgangers. I don't think he got off. Meanwhile, they jump back in. Mercy Please. Great tornado from Black. There's going to be the Deafening Blast as well as the Meatball. Mercy Please dropping low. Look at that damage coming through. He's got buyback. They do have the Aegis still on Quakefa. Doppelganger. Fly will fall as well. He's got buyback. He's going to have to use it. Quakefa just running in. Want 747. They finally get the Aegis, but there's no God Strength. BKB should still be down. They've got that Daedalus and Mask of Madness. They need a Stormhammer. He gets the Doppelganger. Quakefa now gets up the Spirit Lance as well. There's the Viper Strike. Charge in. Quakefa in trouble. Forced away. Tornado whiffs. Black jumps in. The Ice Wall to cover the retreat. They actually have no mana on that Sven to throw up a Stormhammer, and Quakefa is going to bring down this tier 3. It does get glyphed up, but the last couple of seconds it should fall here. Hookshot on the backside. No, it doesn't connect. Omega Poner is actually dealing with a creep wave right now. Rack's in trouble. This might be Mega Crips. This might be the series. VoidBoys, they're on the tail end of this one. It's not done yet. They're just defending as best they possibly can, but dear God, Quakefa with that Aegis, they couldn't find a way to deal with him. Even with that double kill, he's a Moon Shard now. He's so freaking big.
That could have been many other items, but the Moonshard obviously increasing his attack speed by 120%. I think I would have liked an Abyssal Blade better, but he can always grab that afterwards. And honestly, they're so far ahead, I don't know if it matters. That means, yeah, he's going to be able to just kite Sven, and that's what keeps happening. Just sends his illusions. Like, you can't do the slow defend against a PL in this situation. When your wave clear isn't that good, that like you can't clear PL illusions very easily. He just throws a lance, and all of a sudden you've got 3 illusions draining your mana. And then when your mana's low, you have to go heal, and it's the easiest racks ever. And it's such a small thing. They just had to have that first smoke gank plan on the mid racks, and they needed to win that fight. And now the push came in bot. They got a tier 3 tower, and they still didn't go well, and they lost. They had to buy back as well. So
it was a really cool double kill. Don't get me wrong. That
was sexy. That's what happens. He jumps in. If you get the double stun, that's 2 dead heroes.
What happened to the Disruptor? Did he get his ult off in that fight?
I have no idea. The fight was crazy, man.
I don't think he did. I'm pretty sure there was no Disruptor ultimate in that fight, which is pretty bad, but also speaks to the positioning of Mouse Sports again.
Yeah, it's hard for him to come forward because the illusions can very easily target him and bully him out of lane.
Yep.
He would die very easily, the illusions alone, because now they have so many stat levels. Even without mana pool, they do a lot.
Look at this Smoke of Deceit gang coming in from Mouse Sports. They're looking for the side of VoidBoys. They might even find Schwan here, who's up in the high ground. They actually will. Wait, who's going to come in? They jump in.
Great
Immediate
reflection.
reaction coming through. They're going to get up the Static Storm as well, but they don't catch anybody. God Strength vacuum onto one. Walls down, doesn't catch on anybody either. There's still a couple of heroes on the backside. They get 2 quick ones. The supports, Pylai die as well as the Rubik, but meantime, Disruptor will fall. There's the Tornado, the Meatball as well. Omega Opponent's going to try to TP away, but look at how low the Sven is. He is going to go down. He does not have buyback. He's dead for 120 seconds. Flies well, pops the BKB. Sunstrike coming through, but he dodges it. Doesn't matter. 3 dead. TP away from the Viper, but with Koikfa and Black still alive, that is going to be it. GG is called. VoidBoys, they are done, despite playing so well throughout the entire group stages, but Mouse Sports, they clean it up pretty handedly, 2-0, Purge.
Yeah, they're just obviously the better team there. Really good support rotations out of Mouse Sports. Really solid laners. Koikfa got a ton out of his lane. He transitioned it. I loved his item build. I maybe wasn't completely happy with the Manta first, but all the items after that I think were completely perfect. And you know, they moved around the map. They played it slowly. They did some safe push, something they didn't have to do the first game, but it worked out great. To join us, we got 2 new guys, Capitalist and Honey. What do you guys think?
Well, I thought that, so to start things off, game number 1, it seemed like we were a little bit mixed on the drafts. We didn't lean too heavily as a panel one way or the other. We obviously, slightly leaned, some of us towards Mouz, others towards VoidBoys. But I felt like game 2 was a much more decisive draft victory there for Mouse Sports. At least that was my take on it. Honey, what did you think?
On the game number 2?
Yeah, game number 2.
Yeah, I think going at the game number 2, VoidBoys, I felt like going with carries such as Sven and the mid lane Viper is just very tough because you put yourself into a very risky spot, right? Once you make a mistake, coming back from that is very tough. And I felt like the same kind of happened in game number 1, where you run a Draw Visage strat and you go aggressive, right?
Yeah.
Draw is just one of those heroes, you need the level 6, and they contribute just being pretty much passive and farming. You have your aura, all ranged heroes are going to benefit from having that aura, and which essentially makes a Draw strat very strong is that Draw gets the level 6 fast. And when you contest, Draw obviously has a hard time getting a fast level 6. And that essentially was kind of the downfall in that game number 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and jumping into game number 2 as well, that felt like it was one fight away maybe from VoidBoys before they could, it really just came down to positioning. I think that one team fight, we talked about it. If you get that Disruptor ult down, if you're able to find Koikfa seemed immortal though, and I think that was the biggest issue. They couldn't find that kill, but I still think Mouse Sports drafted a really well played game, and of course they were able to take it through as well. And 2-0, which shouldn't surprise too many people. I thought VoidBoys were going to take a game, but really well played from Mouse Sports, honestly, when it was all said and done. Koikfa had a heck of a performance on the Phantom Lancers, so.
Yeah, I think that if Mouse Sports do take on, they're going to be facing up against North American Rejects because we already saw the winner's bracket matchup. So that'll be our consolidation final to determine who the other team is going to go up against Complexity in the grand finals. Do you guys have any predictions seeing Mouse Sports against VoidBoys here and watching that winner bracket final as well?
That's a tough one. I think both teams are very, very solid. They've been playing kind of sloppily the past couple of days especially. NAR just going down 2-0, which I think is very surprising, although you got to give credit to Complexity. They played absolutely outstanding. I want to give the edge to NAR 2-1, but it's a very close 3-game series in my opinion. Really, any team could come out on top, and it just comes down to the draft and the play.
Yeah, I'm really not sure who's going to win during that set. I'd maybe have to do a bit more research, but I felt a lot of confidence in NAR earlier today, but they did get 2-0 by Complexity, and Mouz is sometimes shaky, but depending on how well the supports do in the early game, I feel like they could absolutely just dominate. Maybe I think Way Too Sexy is maybe one of the better supports between the two teams. So if he has a really good game, maybe could see it swing it in their way.
Hani?
Yeah, I think from my point of view, it can go either way. You know how I predicted kind of that Nor would win the overall thing. I think in this series that Mouse seems sort of solid in their draft and execution. And the one thing that I like to point out is just that I feel like if they wouldn't switch too much between carry role and mid role, where Koikwa stays on one and Black just stays on the other, I usually think that kind of like strengthened or like stabilizes a team. And I think Koikwa seems to be very confident on that carry role, whereas Black had really good performances on a mid role. And I would like to see that further in this tournament.
So tomorrow, for sure, going to be a very interesting match as the consolidation final between North American Rejects and Mount Sports seems to be quite the even one, at least among the panelists here. We'll see what the panelists have to say tomorrow, perhaps after a good night's sleep and some research, but we are actually all done for the night. Now, the Chinese stream is going to be coming up here. I believe it starts at 6 local time, which I believe is 5 CAST. So that should be coming up in another hour, maybe 2. Might be wrong about that one. Either way, though, we do have, of course, the Chinese, I believe, consolidation final as well as the grand finals going on today. So be sure to tune in for that and be sure to join us tomorrow night for the American qualifiers. Thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Significant there. I mean, it's hard not to notice your opponent. Again, they're going for Boba. He's got hook shot again. Will he land it? He actually goes aggressive this time.
Epicenter from way too.
Oh,
He's gonna
man,
blink
this is
in.
so good.
Mercy Please is going to get blown up. Boba is going to end up falling here. They get one kill. Does he have the burrow strike? He does, and now they're going to get the Omega opponent.
Usefulness from abilities, and while Pilot Eye looks like he might go down, he does get picked off, but a hook shot into Vengeful Spirit, she's going to fall for sure. And a Burrow Strike in catches the Nature's Prophet as well. If they can get the double kill here, that's going to make it completely worth it. Call on comes through, need another Burrow Strike and a bit more, and there's the battery assault, couple more right clicks. He's got 2 trees, but I think that's going to be it for Omega Poner here, and goodbye.
Way too blinks ahead. Is going to walk up. The force up to the high ground goes into a couple of
found a
trees. Sprout's going to go through. There's going to be the Grave Chili. Did find a lot. They have that Solar Crest. Bulba getting low. They do force him out. He hook shots away, but doesn't get out. Now the Dragon Tail. Pilot Eye will be the first to fall in this fight. Call Down's going to come through. Omega Poner's on the edge and dies to it. Black's going to walk in. He's got his BKB, but he gets Dragon Tail. No. Pops
my
the BKB.
God, the
the
damage.
Rocket Barrage coming in. They're triple kill.
That's
And Pilot Eye was having such a good time, but he rotates back up top. Mercy Please actually gets hit up now. He pops the War Cry. Surge is going to go through
Good
from
positioning by
Bulba.
Bulba.
Sunstrike going to come in, but he jukes around it, hanging around the tower. Mercy Please dying slowly. Did this iron, so he's like, please, for the love of God, stop chasing me. Bulba in trouble. They have the Thunderstrike and Pilot Eye. They might get 2
Double
here.
kill.
Bulba is about to fall. The last right click coming through.
Nice.
They'll get it done. To fight this. In fact, they're maybe going to go right on 747. The Spirit Lance comes out. The Surge forward onto way to lift as well. The Sunstrike in trouble. They have the mech. They
Hook
miss
misses.
They miss the
No
hook
Static
shot.
Storm, but a 3-man Cog's going to help out.
Viper Strike comes in, Vacuum comes through, Viper Strike was stolen, 747 is finally going to go down, but so is Black. Fly in trouble on the backside, gets right click down, not dead yet. Do they have a Spirit Lance? They don't, it looks like. Koikfa still trying to find him, charge out, can't do anything there. Omega Poner on the run, he's down to a little bit of HP, but he should go to, of course, Koikfa's Doppelganger coming in from just a second. They have 3 dead on the dirt.
Bought out a Viper, and then he's going to Force Staff and search himself away.
He has 1 force. Well, now he does.
Eventually will. He's going to have to vacuum here to
Dive?
survive his survivability. Here comes the ultimate as well. If the Viper can catch up, that's going to be a dead Bulba. And it looks, the lift comes, vacuum, the wall, that will be Bulba's death. I think Spirit Breaker goes down. He's almost dead. He does fall. And in exchange, that's a dead Viper. Sunstrike's off the mark just a bit. Too many slows coming out of here.
They do have the hook shot. They're going to just charge
Good
it
attempt,
first and
charge it
foremost.
through.
There's the
That's great
Static Storm onto 4. Black now caught out of position as well. Roche goes down. Koikfa gets the Aegis though, but Stormhammer onto 2. Here comes Mercy Please. Stormhammer was stolen. 747 now in trouble. Vacuum comes out. They have somebody in the high ground. Flyby's back. Koikfa still. Aegis ready to go. There's the defusal on Schwan. Sven is stuck on the high ground. He can't get out. They're going to have to take this fight without him. Bulba getting low, but not low enough. Omega Poner misses the cog, the flare. Bulba still alive. There's the defusal. Omega Poner's going to fall as well. 747 is on his own, but
Ooh,
here
the
comes
charge.
Fly.
That's gotta be dead
747 is going
Bulba.
to TP away. Bulba is going to go down. It looks like to this last right click of Fly. He will fall. They don't take the Aegis coming out.
Here with you now. Never been no other place. Here with you now. here with you now. See your face in the crowd, but you don't seem so far away. Nothing between us is empty space, empty space. Even when the music is loud, I'd rather be no other place. Here with you now, here with you now. Here with you now. Here with you. Rather be no other place than here with you now. Place than here with you. I see your face in the crowd, but you don't seem so far away. Nothing between us is empty space, empty space.